let's get started. I can't remember the intro I used.
You did the fake John intro that doesn't sound like
Oh, yeah, shit. I wasn't trying to be John. I was just trying to make John's intro more appealing.
The cadence is very easy to do. It's just...
Oh, it's like jazz. I'll do it, John, do it again. I'll do trumpet.
What?
No, John, you didn't do it.
Fuck? Do what?
Do you
Scatman. Scatman intro. It's amazing. It needs a cymbal crash at the end
perfect.
of it.
It's like I'm actually in the room.
Like you're actually... Mine's just... Da, 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 da.
You know what's funny? A lot of people were complaining because you started doing it in the Minecraft series, but the old Minecraft series back in like fucking 10 years ago now, you started with like really quietly, but now it's this very loud thing I have to manually duck because you blow your mic out every time.
Well, it changes over time. Mine got faster and faster, then it got so fast I couldn't reliably do it anymore. So now it's slowed down again. There was a peak about 9 months ago where my intro got as fast as it will ever go, and now it's slowed down. Like there was a weird period. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Johnson. Welcome to, and I couldn't reliably do it. Like it just got too garbled, so I had to actually change it.
I love a podcast that I know just starts with this conversation fading in at some point, and we'll go from there.
It will.
So we've begun. Hi everybody. This is our second go because we're recording this in the morning, and I've already said something so inappropriate we had to stop and delete the podcast.
Not just start over and say edit it out. We had to literally delete it to make sure it could never come out in any sense by accident.
It's so early in the morning, I have literally zero filter, so this is going to be fun.
It's 12:30.
Don't flop your cock out, Daniel.
We've been through this in a way that nobody will ever know.
To be clear, we're recording this at 12:30. Daniel chose the time, and he's been complaining the whole time that it's too early, even though he chose the time.
12:30 in the morning. 12:30 p.m. morning.
I accept that anything before lunch is morning. I'm happy with that conceptually.
John, yeah, you're a twat. What is PM? What's PM? It must be Latin, isn't it?
Isn't that post meridium or something?
That makes sense.
I think PM is post meridium or something.
And AM is after morning.
Mm-hmm.
He agreed with it.
Or the best way you do time is 24-hour time, because fuck AM and PM.
Yeah, that does get around a lot of problems. Plus, I'd like a 24-hour clock. Like, screw this whole has to go round twice so you can't see at a glance when you look at a clock. Not that clocks really exist anymore. I feel sorry for the clock industry, you know. Like, they must be so pissed at mobile phones. Like, I used to be so into clocks when I was a kid. Like, every birthday I wanted a new clock. I was so into clocks.
Sorry, can we just address that briefly?
Yeah, I think we should.
I was really into clocks when I was a kid.
Every birthday, I wanted a new clock.
Yes. To replace it wasn't that was the whole bunch of them. I wanted to replace the old clock with a new clock. I got bored of my old clock and I wanted a new one. This was like a proper wall clock. It's like there was a really good one that was square and like was white with like red graph paper as the pattern underneath it. And like, you know, the actual numbers were still round and whatever. The face was still round. But the backing was squared plastic. That was a real highlight. Right there. That one lasted 2 years, I think. But I really
What are you doing with these clocks? You know you can change the batteries in a clock.
No, it was just because I wanted a new, more exciting, sexy clock. I was just really into clocks. I think clocks are cool.
Did they get jammed up with your jism? Is that what you're saying here?
Clockwork is cool. Alright, clockwork is cool.
John, every time you tell me something about your life, it's somehow very surprising and also not at all.
I was super into clocks when I was a kid. Look, I grew up in the middle of cocky nowhere. We didn't have much entertainment, alright? It was either that or the coal mining museum. That's not a joke, there was a coal mining museum.
Of course there was.
It was actually quite exciting because it had trains in it. Because obviously the trains pulled the coal. So there were like massive ass old trains in the coal museums. That was quite exciting.
John's so old, when he says coal miners, it was actually a museum dedicated to children who work down the mines.
I think there was actually an exhibition about that, though it wasn't recent.
Yes, me and Dan and Rafa, we grew up in very stabby places.
I mean, I agree. From the story I've just told you, I had very little grounds on which to get snippy with you on the last podcasts about elevator worlds.
Yeah, it's you going, oh, elevators, they're too fast for me. I like a clock.
One tick every second. That's the way I like it.
On the note of clocks, I'm fucked up at Windows because they've taken mine away.
What?
I updated to Windows 11 and my clock's gone.
Oh shit, I haven't done that yet. Wait, the clock's not in the bottom right anymore.
No, they've changed how the taskbar works significantly, right? So that now, if you have a taskbar on your secondary monitors, the bottom right menu does not appear on them anymore. So the clock doesn't appear on secondary monitors, nor does any like system icons at the bottom right.
Which means if you're playing a game full screen on your main monitor, which is the one where the clock is, you no longer can tell the time.
No.
That's bullshit.
You also can't disable the default sound mixer button, so I have two now. You can't get rid of the networking button on the bottom right anymore. They got rid of custom toolbars, so I had a working recycle bin in my taskbar, and it's gone now.
My left-hand taskbar is taller than the others.
Oh, that's fun. It's literally, Daniel's left-hand taskbar is like double the height, but he's trying...
No, it's 75% taller. I've measured it with pixels.
Nah. So you sent me a video showing that if you change it to your main monitor, it fixes itself, and it just breaks itself the second you put it back.
Yeah, it literally... It's the icons are the same, and there's just a gap underneath everything of just another 75% more like taskbar.
It's so Windows.
It makes me so angry.
No, my favorite thing about Windows 11 is if you go into the fancy new start menu and you right-click on an application and you click uninstall, it opens control panel. It opens the control panel uninstall list, not the new uninstall list built into the new settings menu. There is a new one.
To find out how to rename something.
Rename something?
Yeah, if you right-click on something, rename's gone. It's now a little icon.
Oh yeah, no, they've got the new right-click menu, but they still have the old right-click menu. If you go to the bottom of the new right-click menu and click more, it shows you the old right-click menu. Because, again, it's Windows and they have to bury every feature behind several generations of newer features that somehow have less functionality.
Okay, well, you two are being boring fuckers. I went to look up more information about the coal mining.
I'm sorry your story about fucking clocks was so captivating.
And I've actually managed, and I've been reminded, I never saw this, but at one point briefly there was an exhibition on the history of scabs. Where there's just a photo of a child wearing a hat looking sad behind a sign saying scab. Just the child had to roleplay being a scab as part of the exhibition of scabs.
Oh, not like one you get if you get a cut and then it heals.
No, like the sort that coal miners don't like.
Oh, you mean
or didn't back when the Museum of Coal Mining was a relevant cultural artifact.
You're still on coal mining and yet you cut off the boring ones. Explain. Use both sides of the paper if necessary. I'm sure you will.
No, this is the thing. You said, "Oh, I'm into clocks because the coal mining museum is boring," and now you're on coal mining because somehow that's worse than the clocks by your own estimation. I'm not talking about a new operating system is apparently boring.
The history of mining is interesting. Clockwork is interesting. Okay, these things are interesting.
The good thing about clockwork, though, if you have a theory about it and you get it wrong, you'll be right twice a day. That was a joke. I tried a joke there.
Yeah, we both very purposefully didn't laugh. You see what? Oh no! Oh shit! He's got sound effects. Fucking.
That's not a sound effect. I've just got a horn.
Oh, that was you. Why'd you do that?
He's got a bell. Oh god!
I've got a kazoo.
It sounds like you're just putting on a one-man band outfit and you're about to go thumping down the high street. Oh god!
I've got an accordion. Wait.
I don't want to wait.
Sounds awful. Please don't bring it closer. It sounds terrible.
Yeah, I found it in an attic.
In where?
It just went down by itself. I found it in my grandparents' attic. It's from the 50s, from China, but China in the 50s, and it's very cheap.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So it's not well made. Or maintained.
I feel like we're just gathering stuff that we can, use in the event of the apocalypse that knocks out all electronics right here. You could be a travelling bard who performs terrible music where people pay you to stop playing it, which is, a strategy. You just stand outside the walled settlement saying, "I'm not going to stop playing my terrible accordion till you toss me some money, you twats." It's strategy. And I will have a series of watches that are clockwork. I do have some pocket watches that are clockwork, so I'll also be able to tell you what the time is. So I'll be the one who's able to tell Dan, "No, it's not morning. Look, I can prove it."
Well, that'd be very relevant in the apocalypse.
That would be very useful. It'd be very useful to know what time it is in the apocalypse. I feel like that gives you power.
What's that gonna
You'd
do?
be like a time priest.
Well,
Like, that'd be my job in the apocalypse. I'll be
just-
time priest. I'll be the only
you just
person
look up.
who knows what time it is.
Just look up, see if it's bright or
Yeah,
not.
use a sundial.
Yeah.
Which
Do you reckon, like, in
exists.
cowboy times, the person with all the watches? No, they shot each other at sun up or sundown, because that's the easiest time to tell, isn't it?
Yeah, the only reason we started using standardized watch faces and clocks and stuff were for trains.
Yeah, but sunrise and sunset are
God,
wildly
we're just
inconsistent
talking about fucking
based on local
clocks.
geography and topography.
Yeah, but why
If
does
there's
it
a
matter?
hill to the east of you, you're
but-
not going to see the sun rising until way
John-
later.
But John, in an apocalypse, I don't give a fuck.
Could you imagine John in a John Wayne film? If John was John Wayne. We'll meet at sundown. Where exactly? Because the topography and the etymology and the...
Well, it would be pretty fucking embarrassing if you agreed to duel someone for the last can of baked beans in the apocalypse, and you said, "We'll meet at sunrise to settle this once and for all." And then the next person just doesn't show up till an hour later because they just happen to live in a slightly shady valley. Where, as far as they're concerned, they don't see the sun till 2 hours after everybody else. So they say, "You know what? I'll have a nice lie-in. It's going to be ages till the sun comes up." You need to standardise time, otherwise you can't agree on anything. Then society is working purely on the basis of individuals just trying to survive, and there can be no collaboration. All of a sudden, no, you can't rebuild civilization.
The apocalypse.
This is why I am going to be the time priest, and why I'm going to be important. I will be the de facto leader of civilization, because I will know what time it is.
John?
Yes?
Do you know how long that fucking took? Of course you fucking do. Right, let's talk about something interesting.
Oh, you said you wanted to talk about video games this
Actually,
month,
okay,
which is quite frankly terrifying.
So I have a note for something Dan wants to talk about, but I want to talk about my thing first because I care about it more.
Okay.
I got a Switch OLED, and it's really good.
Oh, Jesus.
No, it's
Christ.
not.
It's really good.
No, it's not.
No, I really like it.
This is
It's
a
really
difficult
nice.
second episode.
No, it's like, imagine a Switch, but well built.
Wow, that's every Switch
What
when
was
you
wrong with
first
the
get it
original Switch?
until
I
it
had no
starts
real
to
problems with the
ricochet
original
around the place.
Switch, to be honest. I mean,
No.
okay, it was a bit janky, but then it was pretty cheap
John.
next to most video
Yeah,
game
but right, so
consoles.
you know how, like, the original Switch, like, you move the controller slightly, the whole thing wobbles and wiggles
No.
around?
Okay,
That's
that I
not
don't know,
on a
because
new
I bought a
Switch.
Pro controller pretty much immediately.
No,
Yeah, that doesn't
I'm not
happen
a
on a new
twat.
No.
Switch. That happens on old Switches.
No.
The OLED will go the way as all the other Switches.
No, this is the thing. So the first gen Switch was really loose. Then the second gen Switch that you have, they made it even tighter. And then the OLED one, they've made them even tighter. So they
I
don't
still
move
think
at
it's
all.
still loose.
The stand is now an actual thing you can use.
Yeah, but when would you want it? I'm never on like a rooftop party like John was. In
Honestly,
that
I'm putting it down a lot. Because the thing is, I can put it on a stand on my lap now.
I'll never forget that
just
first
get an
dumb
erection
Switch
like
advert
a
where
real
someone's just playing
man.
video games, then someone just comes into the house, waves and say, "Hey, do you want to come to our sexy roof party? Bring your video game console with you, please."
Okay, look, it's nicer. The whole thing's built better, and the screen's very, very nice. The speakers sound way better. The screen's very nice. I will
This
say,
sounds
as
a
John
bit like
mentioned-
Stockholm Syndrome talking here.
No.
You've just got so used to the shit build quality of the original, you're now praising the absolute bare minimum you should have expected from the start.
Legitimately, I agree with you there, because this is what this Switch feels like is what the Switch was supposed to be. Right? It feels like what it should have been when it first released.
Really? Because I used the Wii U and that thing was never
no,
good.
No. But this OLED though, I mean, as John mentioned earlier before we were recording, I put a thing on Twitter that's basically in the options of the Switch OLED. There's a vibrancy mode that's only for the OLED, and if you turn it off, suddenly the colors just look like a normal Switch.
It does kind of look like, yes, it's just
Now,
putting the vibrance up 20% and congratulations.
now, even when the vibrance is down, because I tried this, even when the vibrance is down, because it's an OLED, stuff just still looks way better. I mean, Hades looks incredible on it. Metroid Dread looks incredible. Bioshock looks incredible.
Why? Explain why.
Because the black.
Right, can I explain something first?
pitch
I'd like to
deep.
jump in here. Matt brought me 3 monitors when he was setting my computer up. A middle one, which is really fucking expensive and fancy, and 2 cheaper ones to flank it. I can't tell the difference between the fancy one and the cheaper ones. And then when Matt came here, Matt couldn't tell the difference between the fancy one
The
and
only
the cheaper
difference I
ones.
could tell was that the middle one has a much faster frame rate, but it was, again, subtle.
We are actually reaching the point of no return where it's very where people are asking us to pay. Big companies want to charge us for technology which has now got so extremely to the edge of, can the human eye really tell the difference?
I agree.
99.9% of
genuinely.
the time between 1440 and 4K.
I agree with this.
I can tell the difference between those because one's a refresh rate and one's a resolution.
No, this is the thing.
Wait, are they different? Are they?
1440. No, John said 4040p, not 1440.
Like, I thought he said 1440. No. Cut out. No. Excuse me.
So I agree.
But no, I can't tell the difference.
I think the frame rate and resolution and all that, it gets a bit.
Over about 90 FPS, I really struggle to detect.
However,
like the people who used to say, "Oh yeah, you can't tell between 30 and 60." That's bullshit. You absolutely can. But over about 90, it's really hard.
It's hard. Like so I don't really care that much about the frame rate. I like 120. It's nice, like to have. I mean, but it's never something I really consider when buying something. It's just nice to have. Like my phone now has 120 hertz. You know what? Scrolling looks a bit nicer. It's an improvement. It doesn't really matter. But on the Switch, the OLED, because OLED I think is one of those screen technologies where you do really notice the difference aggressively, just because the contrast ratio is so aggressively higher. And the screen is just bigger as well. So it being bigger and an OLED, just honestly, stuff like Hades looks incredible on it. And just having a bigger screen is just way nicer. I enjoy it a lot, and it just feels better built.
I mean, I agree that isometric games like Hades, having just a little bit more space so you're not such a tiny little speck of the distance,
I say Hades because Hades has the color content. Like, Hades has a lot of deep blacks.
That's true. Hades has a really beautiful aesthetic. Hades is lovely.
Yeah. And Metroid Dread also really goes to those deep blacks. And any games that are very good with darkness and have a lot of deep blacks and high contrast look really good. I mean, Bioshock Remastered looks amazing on it.
Bioshock Remastered did not look good on the Switch.
Does Bioshock Remastered still have that really awful window break the first time you meet a Big Daddy, where the guy's standing against the window and there's the really like realistic kind of glass cracking sound splinter. Then when he goes through the glass, it just turns into like 6 triangles that fly off into space. It always made me laugh.
Yeah, no, I saw that. Yeah,
they've never fixed that in all the remasters and re-releases. There's still that bloody weird moment where the glass just turns into some floating fairy triangles.
No, it's very stuff like that's distracting, and
it makes me laugh every time I see that dumb moment with the first Big Daddy introduction in Bioshock.
I will say another thing on the Switch OLED that I will say is really good is, you know, any games where you're playing with letterboxing, like any 4-3 games like the Castlevania Collection or whatever, because it's OLED. Those letterboxing just looks like the rest of the console now. It doesn't look like an actual bit of the screen that's up. It's just.
I always put a border around
I'll give you that.
I like the borders. Yeah. I play with a little border on.
See, I find the borders distracting.
I don't, because they're stacked pictures and I don't have ADHD. Oh, wait, I do have ADHD.
Yeah, look, this is the thing. The Switch OLED, I'm not saying it's like, oh, it's an incredible... I'm just saying, this is what the Switch should have been, and if you don't have a Switch yet and you're like, I want to buy a Switch, I think your choice is between the OLED model or the Lite. I mean, you shouldn't even really consider the normal Switch anymore. I think it's a bit...
You should totally consider the normal Switch. It's way cheaper than the OLED.
It's 40 quid.
What's the price difference now?
Like 40, 50 quid. It's not much. The OLED is 3.
That's a game.
The OLED's 300. The Switch normal is 250, and the OLED model comes with double the internal storage. And I think it's just a much better experience. And I just think it's a much better experience, and I think it's worth that extra 50 quid. Like, yeah, Dan's right. You haven't tried it.
I don't like fucking... No, anytime someone's on me, oh, this screen's this and that. You know what I can see when it comes to screens? Bigger.
It's bigger.
It is bigger. I can see that's one of the things it does do.
Much bigger. Yeah, but it's not massively bigger. It's like fucking half
it's actually, genuinely, it's really noticeably quite bigger. And, as I say, the OLED, OLED is a technology I will instantly recognize no matter where it is. I think it's a really distinct difference, OLED.
What does the O stand for in OLED?
Zero.
Organic.
Organic LEDs. What? It's got like fucking... I think anglerfish built into it or some shit. It's actually loads of tiny anglerfish.
Organic light-emitting diodes.
I was right! It is organic.
It was organic. Okay. That's not what I was expecting. Like, you know, I think the word organic, I think like chicken, eggs, nice responsible breakfast today. Yay! I don't...
What the fuck?
Are my light-emitting diodes also free range? They get to frolic out in the field
before
they're, you know, cruelly put into the back of the truck by old farmer MacDonald and forced into the Nintendo factory?
Look,
what's happening?
Are they allowed to live like
conversation?
happy lives?
What? Why am I hungry?
He's a hungry boy. You're always hungry.
That's my secret.
Legitimately though,
I'm always hungry.
I like it a lot.
My weighing scale today congratulated me on going down from obese to massively overweight. So that's a thing that happened.
Was
I feel
it
like that happens every
sarcastic
year
while
now
it
at
was
this
saying it?
point.
Because that sounds like the sort of thing a scale would be incredibly sarcastic about.
It actually played a slow clap.
Wow.
That surprised me.
I think the best possible incentive for me to lose weight would be the scales being incredibly mean and sarcastic. I think that knowing that everybody had to deal with being guilted and shamed by some dumb scales.
But John,
would be a
you
big
need to
incentive
gain
for me.
weight so you can have a bigger trench coat for all your watches in the apocalypse. What are you buying, stranger?
I looked into this a while back. Because
into which bit of that conversation? Resident Evil?
The sarcastic weighing scales. Because,
this is okay.
Because you know how you can get basically everything is a smart device now. Almost everything you can get as a smart device. So they all have
only idiots buy them.
Yeah, but they all have little microcontrollers and they all have this stuff. And I'm sat there going, you could mod these to just do other things, right? And I desperately wanted to have all my appliances be the old world blues appliances. Which Dan won't get, but John will. I wanted... There's a smart toaster.
It's a Fallout reference, thank you very much.
There's a smart toaster you can buy with a screen on the front, and it is £400. It's a toaster.
Does it have speakers, though? Because
yes, it has speakers and a big screen. I hate it as a toaster.
Wait, what's the screen for?
So, it's a touchscreen, and then you select what type of thing you're toasting. It's stupid. You're like, I'm going to toast a bagel, then it shows you lots of pictures of different ways, different levels of toasting of the bagel.
I'd never done that normally on toaster. I'd just choose how many minutes I want it to be cooking.
No, that's wrong. It's not minutes. That's not minutes.
Instead of having a screen, why don't they just have glass so you can see how cooked the thing is?
Okay, well, two things. There's two things. Tom Scott's literally done an entire video of this. They're not minutes. Second of all...
Yeah, they are. The one of them was, though.
One of them was, but most aren't. Minutes. And secondly, there are ones with glass in, so...
Oh, well, that's the smart choice, then. That's the secret.
I know, I agree. I agree. This smart toaster is stupid. However, because it's got this little microcontroller, I'm sort of going, you could make it the toaster from Old World Blues. And I want to put, little fucking voice responses and all my little devices that can just be sarcastic little dicks.
God, you're the sort of arsehole who would invent Talkie Toaster from Red Dwarf, aren't you? Hi, I'm Talkie.
Yeah, we were briefly on Resident Evil. I'm still fucking pissed off that Resident Evil 4 VR is coming exclusively to Oculus Quest 2.
Yeah.
Let's just create a VR version of one of the best games ever made and then restrict it to a Facebook-owned console.
Have you seen how they do, the melee moves and stuff, like the suplexes and things?
No, I lost all interest when it was on Oculus Quest 2. I'll be interested again once it comes to something I've actually got and can record off.
It goes 2D. It turns, every time you do it, it pops in front of you into a cinema screen so you can see yourself doing the move and then pops back into 3D VR.
What?
Yep,
that sounds incredibly disorientating.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Also, can we just address that when all of Facebook's services went down earlier this month, everyone's Oculus is broke and they couldn't play any games on them?
I saw a mod you can install onto your Oculus that ripped Facebook off of it. It was like this 17-year-old kid came up with it.
Brilliant.
And it's just install it and it'll get rid of it. But I mean, what do we think of the
life
Vive?
When he gets out of prison?
What do we think of the Vive Flow, the newly announced standalone Vive headset that I'm now going to check has actually been announced?
Vive's biggest mistake is they've released too many different product lines and I don't know what they all do anymore.
Yeah, that's a valid point.
Straight up, I know what an Oculus Quest is, because it's incredibly clear. But Vive's got the Focus and the Pro and
there was a brief period,
and the Flibble
we were going to buy.
And I don't know what they all do.
We were going to buy an Oculus Quest a while back because they just are inside out tracking. That there's someone modded Beat Saber so that you could just take it to a field, and instead of it there being 5 rows or whatever, it has 30, so you have to literally leg it across a field.
Oh, that sounds hilarious.
Yeah, and you can do stuff like that with the inside out Oculus, and I thought that was the only headset that does that, and I think that's amazing. Yeah, and I think just being able to put it on anywhere and play it and not have to faff with the big faffy setup, especially for basic stuff. For big VR experiences, you want the proper setup, but for basic stuff like Beat Saber or whatever, I think playing that. But then Facebook be Facebook, and the Vive coming out with one is exciting, but at the same time, they, as you say, they kind of fuck everything up a bit, so I don't really trust them.
There's too many models. One of them's only supposed to be for boardrooms or something.
Sorry, did you just say apparently it's out?
Apparently.
That illustrates the point perfectly, doesn't it?
It was announced that it came out. Have you seen the Vive Flow? It looks like welder's goggles.
Yeah, they don't really know how to. Oh my god, they do.
Because there is straight up. Hang on, I'm going to the Vive product line page. Because there's straight up one you're not even supposed to buy. It's just supposed to be for business meetings. I'm not sure who the fuck buys a series of headsets just so, hey, let's look at our bar charts in VR.
That's not the business reason, though, is it?
What is the business reason? I've never been clear on what the business reason is supposed to be.
I thought it's if you're doing those more immersive, worldy thingies.
They got
like
really popular lately just because of
that was incredibly vague explanation.
Oh,
well, there's that VR Star Wars thing you can do where you sort of it's in a room. They've got a whole room planned out for it with like moving bits and pieces. But you put the VR headset on and the room. This set of corridors and stuff becomes
okay,
like
when you try and sell that to your accountant as a business expense, that's going to be a hard sell.
But it's to be super immersive from
HMRC.
It's top tier shit because you're going to make money off of it.
Sorry, I hate the look of this Vive Flow because it doesn't have a head strap. It's just like glasses. It fits on you like a pair of glasses.
Yeah.
So it doesn't strap to you or anything. It's just a pair of glasses.
I feel like that's going to
really
leak
heavy.
light a lot.
Even if it doesn't, I think it's gonna be. You know the original, because I still got original Vive, where all the weight is just on your nose and in your eyes, and it hurts. It's gonna be that again because it doesn't. Because unlike the Vive, it's not even supporting from the top. It's just the two things that go around your head, and they don't even go to the back. That's gonna be horrible.
I'm still Team Vive Pro. That's my baby. Maybe I'll go with the Vive Pro 2.
Yeah, but do you want the Pro 2, or the Pro I?
Pro 2 I'll take. Yeah, nice upgrade. Pro I, not for me.
Because not only are there multiple product lines, all of them have got Elite and 2 variants.
Well, I'd say that what's the worst headsets I've ever used is PSVR because it's like being on a fucking sinking boat the entire time because it couldn't track for shit no matter where I set it up. And the worst fucking headset I've ever used is the Valve Index.
Because you can't use it.
Because I can't use it. My glasses don't fit inside it.
No.
Who the fuck invents a VR headset that you can't put glasses on with?
It is supposed to be very good if you could use it, but obviously.
Oh yeah, it's apparently amazing. I wouldn't fucking know because I can't see.
Okay, yeah, the Vive Pro is $500, which isn't too bad, actually.
Oh, it's quite cheap, the Vive Pro, because it's the Vive Pro 2 now.
No, the Vive Flow. There's
Vive Flow.
a fucking problem with the naming convention.
Because the sample they give seems to be like, hey, you turn the numbers so you can focus on the mushroom. It reminds me of those. I'm not sure whether this was like before your time, but like when I was a kid, you used to have these dumb glasses you put over, and there was like a wheel of tiny photos, and you just flicked through them one at a time.
John, you and Dan are like the same age.
But it just looks like that, but you have to pay 500 quid for the privilege.
Matt, when you hit the 30s, you start to age really quickly.
Yeah.
Okay, so sorry. We just need to address.
You just wake up and you think, okay, what hurts today? All right, it's one of my feet, the knee on the other leg of my hip hurts a bit. Okay, that's not too bad.
You've got to look back in the bed to see what you've left behind.
There's the
Hopefully you've just shat blood or something.
Only 3 things hurting today. It's going to be a good day.
I get it. You're both old. Jesus. No, I'm so annoyed.
Matt's like up, jogging and shit, getting a latte frappuccino. Me and John are fucking getting our Zimmers out, trying to stand.
I was doing that.
Give me a cappuccinos from avocado foam on top.
I've been taking a lot of old people medicine. It's fine. I'm not anymore. It's great, yeah. Look, I'm looking at the Vive website. There's the original Vive, which is called the Vive. Right, then there's the Vive Flow. Then there's the Vive Cosmos series. Do you even buy the original
Vive anymore?
What?
I don't see the original Vive on their website anymore.
No. I'm just addressing the original and the ones they're selling.
Right.
They've got the Vive Cosmos series, the Vive Pro series, the Vive Focus series. So they have 4 different product lines.
Yeah, it's too many lines.
And so, like, I'm looking at that, like they have the Vive Cosmos Elite and the Vive Pro are both a similar price, yet, and I think they do very similar things, but they're different design. Oh, you can get a refurbished Vive Pro for £400.
That's pretty good.
Oh, here we go. I found an explanation for the business Vive. Vive Sync serves as a secure and flexible space where business professionals can discuss, collaborate, and share ideas seamlessly, regardless of time and location.
Oh, Facebook were trying to do something like that as well.
So it's just a Zoom call, but you have to pay tens of thousands of dollars to get more than like 10 people in a room.
Yeah,
so
but
you could be there. It's like offices, and being in the offices, people who work in offices are dying.
Did you see that fucking? I keep seeing a clip from the Facebook example of that with Zuckerberg in the thing, and it looks fucking awful. Like it looks like a PS3. It reminds me of PlayStation Home, but shit.
It was PlayStation Home. That's what I always thought it was.
And it's just, Zuckerberg's there awkwardly trying to do it, and there's so much lag between everyone, and like they're doing it because they're doing it as part of like a news broadcast, so like all the news presenters are like in the thing, and they're all clearly very unimpressed.
I mean, wow. I'll give them one thing, which is like there was I don't know if they still do this, but it was a tradition a few years back in offices where people would say, okay, we're going to do a standing meeting because no one wants to be standing for too long, so it's going to keep the meeting short. And this is the same basic principle, except it costs tens of thousands of dollars, because no one wants a meeting to Dragon in VR, because everyone starts getting a headache and motion sickness. So everyone needs to go and vomit after about 20 minutes.
I've never worked in an office, but I genuinely think I wouldn't survive with people who think like that. How do you deal with a person who thinks like that's an okay thing to say? Let's have a meeting, but let's stand so it goes over quicker. Why don't you just make it go quicker? Do you think your chairs are that fucking comfortable that people are going to be like, actually, let's fucking stay. Let's make a day of it.
They do a very expensive chairs now.
Sometimes very long meetings can be fun because you can get really into depth on data.
Sorry. Fun's very not the right word to use there, John. Maybe interesting, but fun.
I once had, I can't name the company because I'm actually bound by contract to not name it. But
Amazon.
There was one company that I once acted as secretary during a board meeting for. So I got to be involved in, and I was only in the meeting for about 3 hours. I wasn't there for the whole time. I was relieved.
3 hour meeting.
No. The meeting was 6 hours. I was just in for I was only the first 3. Then someone else relieved me for the final 3. So it was a 6 hour board meeting. But it got into some really interesting in-depth discussion. It was actually quite interesting.
Interesting.
How fast the time can go when you get really clever people.
John, I don't trust your view of fun. You collect the clocks.
Yeah, John's watching the clock, going, "Oh, this reminds me of my fucking childhood."
Yeah, you start in a meeting watching the time go by, going, "Oh, having a great time."
I don't need to take this. I'm going to go and play my 30-second, 60-hour campaign of Civilization 6. Good day to you, sir.
By email.
Oh, that's not even a bad joke, because John does use email for everything.
Yeah.
What else are you going to use? You're going to go into VR and do a Vive sync meeting?
There's a thing. It's called instant messaging. It's been around for a little while now.
Yeah, I resist that. I've resisted that, I'll admit.
We're aware.
Yeah,
we're very aware.
These through fucking Twitter, like.
Twitter's pretty close to instant messaging when you think about it.
So why even bother? It requires you to be on Twitter, which is the worst thing.
Mm-hmm. Good old Twitter.
Twitter is a hellhole that I'm glad I managed to escape from.
Yeah.
You said I had something written down to talk about, Matt. What the fuck was that?
Flight Simulator?
Fuck Flight Simulator. Fuck Flight Simulator. So fucking hard.
I thought you were done there. I thought you just wanted to say fuck Flight Simulator. That was it.
What is the fucking problem with Flight Simulator's install? I literally cannot get it working. I've been on multiple operating systems. I've gone through different fucking things. Flight Simulator downloads on my computer at 3 megabits per second. So, like, what, 800k a second?
Yes, something like that.
What is that? Everything else downloads, my max fucking download speed, like 30 or 40 megabytes a second. And this fucking thing's like, no.
It does sound like trying to download something on PS4, which was always terrifully slow.
Oh, because it had that little fast bit. It's like, you can play the game now. Now we're going to put you on the shit servers.
I would have my PS4 here, plugged in via Ethernet, next to a computer that is getting 1,000 megabits a second down, and the PS4 would only get 1.
Yeah.
1.
And then it could tell you could start playing. What it meant was you can go to the start screen. You can't actually start the game. You can load up the start screen and listen to the music.
It's fucking... But Flight Simulator, I mean, I left it overnight for 10 days and I got to about 40% downloaded. That's fucking ridiculous. 10 days I left it running.
The problem with Flight Simulator is every time there's an update, you have to go through that process again because it uses its own system for installs, because you have to have the game open. It can't just install in the background. You have to have it open.
Yeah.
Still.
And all the settings for fixing and changing how the online connects are in the game. You have to get into the game to be able to change certain things. To be clear
to everyone listening, Dan has tried both the Steam and Microsoft Store versions.
To be fucking clear, I tethered Matt's phone to my computer to get faster internet, and that didn't fucking work. So it's not even my fucking router setup.
No, it's not the router. You've tried different ports, you've tried different connections. It's something clearly to do with... It's
their side. It's definitely not my fucking side.
Well, it's their side, but it's something that their side that's having some weird conflict with something on your side, which doesn't make any sense. Because I can download it reasonably fast, and that, so it's not... The servers clearly can work, but for some reason, they're not for you, and it doesn't make any sense. It's classic Microsoft.
You said reasonably fast. It's 10 times slower for every single person I've ever downloaded it compared to anything else they download.
Oh, yeah, no. When I say reasonably fast, I mean compared to the speed you're getting, it's still fucking slow as shit for me. I reinstalled it, or I tried to reinstall it a while back, and I still had to leave it overnight.
Yeah, so since they did the optimization update where you had to re-download the whole game, I have never played it again.
No, yeah, because you can't re-download it.
Yeah, but why would you? It's now not funny anymore, because the funniest bit about the original was they tried to just dynamically figure out what every building in the city was, and repeatedly decided that, say, Buckingham Palace was just it must be a big block of flats. Because I can't see what else the large building at the end of the mall would be. It must be flats.
But they've had loads of handmade assets in now, and you can get loads of good DLC.
Yeah, which I feel like should have been in from the start.
I agree. However, it's still,
it's basically was just a procedurally generated planet that vaguely resembled our own.
I mean, that's every flight simulator ever.
Remember, like, Flight Simulator 2000, where you'd go into the shop and it would be like, here's the fucking realistic terrain for Leicestershire, and you had to buy it on a separate DVD and install it.
Yeah, like, this is flight...
There's only about 20 cities around the world were actually 3D. Like, the biggest cities around the world were 3D. But if you went to any, like, even moderately sized cities, now flat.
Yeah, in this way,
completely flat.
In Flight Simulator 2000, which I remember because it took up a whole gig, and I was like, who has a gig? It was you just get randomly generated terrain to cover most things, and then you could download basically the Google Maps version individually, county by county.
Oh God.
On separate CDs.
Yeah, but there's some counties you can just sort of skip because no one knows where they are. Like, who knows where Buckinghamshire actually is?
Next to Buckingham Palace. Next question.
It's somewhere, but no one knows precisely where. No one can put that on a map. So what does it matter?
Anybody who knows where it is goes there. It's like you get called towards it.
Nobody knows where Shropshire is.
I don't know where Shropshire is.
Exactly. So there's certain counties you can just skip.
Yeah, the Midlands, basically. You don't need it.
Whoa. Let's not go crazy. Let's not go crazy.
See, I was an X-Plane person, not a Flight Sim person. So
of course you were.
No, see, when I was I used Macs. And back in like 2008, I remember like X-Plane 9 came out, and it came on 8 discs. And if you installed everything, it was 80 gigs. 80 gigs! 2008!
Wow. That is a lot.
Yeah, but when you open the installer, it showed you a map of the world, and it had it in squares, and you would click the squares you wanted to install terrain for. And it was just, I'll just take England, please, thank you. And but every game is, but Flight Sim, the new one, actually having terrain for the whole world and adding some building flavor to below when you're flying around, I think is excellent. I
feel like we need to come up with like a way of evaluating games that uses this as a metric. Like we need to figure out fun to how big the game is in gigabytes as a ratio. Because I feel like that's got to be one of the least favourable ratios I've ever heard.
Yeah.
80 gig to an old flight simulator has got to be...
Hey, X-Plane was cool, you could fly the space shuttle.
You know, they released a physical version of the new Flight Simulator. It's 10 DVDs.
Oh.
So you can sort of... But that's like so out of date now that you'd immediately have to download the game.
Yeah, you'd have to download the new update again, yeah.
Immediately. Yeah. It just doesn't work.
I was taken surprised by one recently, because sometimes I'm just, I find it noteworthy when I find a game where it's, it looks like a small game, and I buy it, and the game's like, do you want to install this? And I go, yes. Oh, it's 70 gigs. Like, fuck off. Why? How on earth could this possibly be that? I had one of those recently. Have you heard of, that terrible game, Agony?
Yep.
Well, it's got an even worse sequel, Succubus, which is just the same thing, but even edgier and even more booby.
Yeah.
55 gig.
It's pretty good.
And it's linear. It's incredibly linear. It's pretty damn short. It's just boobs, boobs, boobs. Punch a dead pregnant woman to rip the embryo out of her in order to eat it, because that's how you get your health back.
Rebecca would love that.
Yeah, this is just basically a game that's just edginess as perceived by a 14-year-old boy. The game.
So Rebecca,
it's just nothing. But like, I can't understand how they made this 55 gig.
No, there's so much like.
It's called
nothing in it.
An optimization.
I've had this problem on the Switch because obviously Nintendo's games on the Switch tend to be quite small. I mean, Mario Odyssey is like 6 gigs or something.
But then when third parties come in and think, well, enjoy our 80 gig Call of Duty.
Well, yeah, fucking like Trials Rising.
That can't be that big.
Trials Rising is it's massive on the Switch, even though it looks like shit. I got Mortal Kombat 11 on the Switch, and it is 33 gigabytes. It is the biggest game on the Switch I have installed by double. Breath of the Wild is 16 gigs. 16! Mortal Kombat 11.
Yeah, that's just running at 240p.
Yeah, but Mortal Kombat 11's running at fucking 240p, and every texture is a potato. And it's a fighting game. It's not like it's got a fucking big open world. It's a fighting game with, like, 10 maps. How the fuck is it 33 gigs?
I mean, maps is a generous expression for an arena.
It is a very generous expression. It's still 33 fucking gigs. It's ridiculous.
It's a room. It's not even a room. A room implies 3 dimensions.
This is the thing. That's an optimized bullshit. Whereas Flight Sims have always given it a bit of a break to because it's the whole world. You know.
Yeah, but no, it's not. Because where do you spend most of your time when you're flying?
In the sky.
Yeah, quite high up. So how much does it actually matter what's going on down below?
Well, the whole big deal that Flight Sim 2020 is that you could finally do VFR flying properly, because you never could before.
I don't know what that is.
Visual flight rules. It's explicitly that you're not high up. You're navigating by the land and the terrain. You're looking down and going, oh, I'll go to this building and turn right. That's a really common thing for like small pilots, like flying little planes. And you've never been able to do it in Flight Sim before. Now you can, because there's actually buildings and terrain you can navigate based on them.
Except you can't, because all the buildings are wrong.
Oh, it doesn't matter.
So if you say, well, I'm going to go to Buckingham Palace, oh shit, that's not Buckingham Palace, that's a block of flats.
Well, they've added them in.
Lost.
And it's close enough. It's close enough for VFR flying. And that's the sort of point. VFR, it's not perfect, you're right, because when
are you actually, no, it's just, you're saying this isn't in video games, this is the actual real pilots in little planes navigate by just going from building to building.
Well, they don't navigate going building to building.
They don't knock on the doors, John.
No, it's just
where are we?
It's visual flight rules, like VFR, so it's fairly reasonably low altitude. Amateur pilots generally do it, and it's going okay, and they just they'll navigate by things. They'll find a road and literally navigate.
In Flight Simulator, there's a whole mode dedicated to like exploring the Australian outback using it.
Yeah,
and crossing like vast. Nothing.
They have to submit flight plans in advance.
No, they don't.
Say, okay, I'm going to take off, then I'm going to go find the post office.
Take it right till I reach VFR flying. When you go up for VFR flying, you're just saying hello, tower. I'm going to fly under VFR rules, and they go okay, and there is no flight plan for it because it's VFR rules. It's a separate thing, but VFR's only below. I
don't want all these twats just fly wherever the fuck they want in little planes.
Yeah, it's called hobby pilots having a nice time.
Yeah, but there's big planes full of people who don't want to die.
Yeah, but that's why VFR flight rules is below a specific altitude, which the big planes aren't flying at. Big planes
well, you have to pass through it at some point, otherwise they can't get down.
Well, yeah, but it's why you don't do VFR flight rules till you're outside the airport. Like area, there's a flight path coming into.
So hang on, so you're saying that an amateur pilot, the person who has least experience and most likely to fuck up because they're just in their own little hobby plane, can just go to an airport and say, "Hello, tower, I'd like to take off, get a sufficient distance from your airport." Then fuck only knows.
Yeah, that's how it works.
And the air traffic control replies, "Yes, that sounds good. You just do that as much as you fucking want. Have fun in your plane."
Yeah.
You're telling me that's a real thing that happens?
VFR flying.
What? How is
John's learned that the world is more dangerous than he ever knew.
This feels like this should definitely be a crime.
No, because here's the thing. In an airport,
like
right,
this feels like... What?
Outside an airport, you have flight corridors, right? And it's what all planes used to land. If you're in the I can't remember the exact term, but it's the area that the air traffic controller controlling around the airport really specifically. And that's controlled no matter what you're doing. You have to
I just assumed that if you were in an aeroplane, you weren't able to take off till you'd submitted a very thorough flight plan that you then stuck to, and there's a nice man in a tower with a radar keeping an eye on you, where if you deviate from that plan, he says, yeah, 299GR, please confirm your dibbly gypsing, please correct to 3,000 feet and hold, thank you, Roger, over. Or something of that nature, and then you had to, otherwise the sky police would come and arrest you.
Bigger planes would do that, but small planes, especially at very low altitudes, generally aren't. If you're flying at 2,000 feet, you're under
Sorry, you're saying that the planes that are closer to me and the houses have less rules?
Yeah, they're not crashing into you, are they? Nothing. It's the fucking sky, John.
What the fuck's stopping them from doing that? I want the planes that are higher up and a long way away from me to do what the fuck they want, because they've got experienced pilots and they're a long way away. I want the small plane that's close to me, piloted by some twat who's never flown a plane before outside of a simulator. You have to obey the rules.
John, those small planes, if one of those small planes hit your house, you know what it'd do? It would crumple, and it would you would probably might not even know us, because they're tiny and made of paper, basically.
I do not... No!
They fly under
I
VFR
do not
rules.
accept this.
They have
It's
a nice
travelling
time.
quite some
They fly around and they
speed.
go, oh, look at all the nice scenery, because that's part of the big thing of VFR flying. Most amateur pilots navigate by VFR flying. It's really common. There's a lot of amateur pilots.
Shit!
There's a lot of amateur pilots.
Terrifying.
Cool. There's a lot of cool
the rest of my life, if I see a small plane going up, I'm going to get into cover.
Legitimately, right? There was 2 ideas we had for doing that 10th anniversary thing, and one was flying to New Zealand. But the second idea that I had was of the 2 or 3 of us flying via VFR flight rules from London to New York.
But there's no ocean. Ocean doesn't have distinguishable
No, but this is
features.
the whole point. In those small planes, you can't go over the ocean. You have to go up through Scotland, over to Greenland, over through Canada, and then down.
Oh, that's really fun.
Because you have to refuel a lot.
That sounds like a way better video than the one you actually did that was shit and boring.
Hey!
I'm so sorry that I uploaded something that was shit and boring. Come on, tell me about the latest game where you pretend to be a king.
I don't know which one you're referring to. There's quite a few.
Fucking precisely, innit? I love that John's just sitting there in a dark clear room being like, I'm a king.
You're the one who's doing a series pretending to be a medieval baron or something at the moment.
I'm a peasant, bitch. And I get all the fucking work
It's
done.
Animal Crossing, but peasants.
Animal Crossing, but peasants.
And depressing.
I like it.
Yeah.
It's not depressing. How's it depressing? I make lovely little warm houses.
It's not like... And also, John, how can you say Animal Crossing with dysentery isn't fun?
Okay, you've got me there.
It's novel, isn't it?
I mean, I now should mention...
I've literally just caught myself looking out the window because I'm now scared of small planes.
Okay, John, when looking out the window, how many planes do you currently see?
None, but a small plane occasionally has passed over,
John,
in the last week. One has passed over.
John, can I make 2 small points about the plane thing, just to alleviate your worries, right?
Yes.
Just because something's flying under visual flight rules does not mean it's not being tracked by air traffic control.
Okay, good. They're not just tracking immediate around their airport.
Literally the last episode of the PodCats, a plane, fly really low past my house.
Yeah.
I forgot about that.
No, so...
Yeah, I thought that was a joke, but now I'm really scared
that really
he was about to kill you.
So, John, right, when I say it's a controlled area, in a controlled flight area, the air traffic controller is specifically telling you exactly what to do, but once you go outside that area, you go, I'm flying under VFR rules, and they go, okay.
How qualified do you have to be to do that? Like, do you have
six minutes of training?
Do you have to have a license? Is it like a driving license, but for planes?
Nah, if you can get up there, you're right.
Obviously, you need a driving license. Having a pilot's license is really hard to get, even for an amateur pilot.
Well, I don't fucking know. Apparently, I'm allowed to drive a motorcycle because I've got a driving license, even though I've literally never ridden a motorcycle
John.
before.
It's not plane, is it?
What? I just feel like a plane and a car are about as different as a plane and a motorcycle.
You're a fucking idiot, John.
I mean, literally, if you put me on a motorcycle, I don't know how to make it go.
No,
but
you're not in the
I'm legally
fucking
allowed
sky,
to go
are
out on a motorway on one.
I think a motorbike you could probably work out. A fucking little
it's something to do with turning. It's like turning the handlebars or something, like
there you
twisting.
Go, you got it. There you go, done.
I've no fucking clue what to do. But I am legally allowed to take the most powerful motorcycle in the world onto a motorway on my first go, and that's legal and fine. And that strikes me as fucking insane. That motorcycle licenses and car licenses aren't different things in the UK.
I agree with you. However, this is not addressing the main point that you're bringing this up to, which is you're confused by the concept of planes.
I'm not confused by the concept of plane. I'm terrified by the... Okay, I'm both confused and terrified.
Okay, John,
by the concept
they're still
of
controlled.
plane.
They're still tracked. If 2 planes are getting close to each other, they will tell each other, and they will inform them and go, I can see it. Right? Because that's... Can you see the other flight? And they go, yes. They'll avoid each other. There's also a system...
But why on earth would you let the inexperienced pilot be the one
listen,
who's allowed to just wander nearby to somebody else?
John, even the most inexperienced pilot flying on their own is very experienced because they have a pilot's license, which requires a lot of fucking work. Holy shit. They cost tens of thousands to even get them.
I think we've got this wrong. I think when you've just got your pilot's license, you shouldn't be allowed to fly unless you've submitted a full flight plan and you're going to do precisely what you say so everyone can keep an eye on you. And only once you've, say, I don't know, been a pilot for certain amounts of years are you allowed to just do VFR. Because I want people who are just floating around in their hobby plane close by to the ground, were not being properly tracked, to be experienced.
But what are you worried about happening?
I don't feel like this is ridiculously unreasonable.
John, what are you worried about happening?
Yeah, hang on, wait, sorry.
Crashing into the ground!
Guys, I'm on the phone. Shush. Hello, BA? Yeah, could you just listen to this for a second? We've got a bit of a counter-argument for you. Go ahead, John.
I just want pilots to behave in the sky.
John. So
yes.
Okay, if a pilot's flying VFR rules like 2,000 feet, right? Why are you worried about them?
Sound very hard.
No, but why are you worried about them crashing into the ground?
Because I'm on the ground. That's where I live.
But John, the one thing you need to do as a pilot is stay in the air. That's the whole point.
After this, John's going to just be perpetually on like a 747 flight, being like, this is the only place to be safe.
That's true, actually. That would be the only safe place. Yes.
You're right.
On top of a mountain.
You're right. This is the logic that the recent film Black Widow used. Has anybody here seen Black Widow?
I saw it.
It was terrible. I think it's the worst
the Die Hard
film.
5 of the Marvel Cinematic Universe.
I just came away from it thinking, man, that was a catastrophic.
I enjoyed the sheriff from
Taskmaster.
Stranger Things. I enjoyed him. He was fun.
As the big Russian guy.
I was really looking forward to Taskmaster, and then every scene apart from one, the Taskmaster's in was in the trailer.
Taskmaster was in it, wasn't it?
Yeah,
Greg Davies
they
was
completely
in it.
wasted
really
that.
So you've got the Taskmaster, who has all the fighting styles of all the Avengers. He's got Captain America's shield and combat abilities and Black Panther's things, and all the Avengers stuff is built into Taskmaster. Yeah. And you've got the Russian guy who fought Captain America and was beaten by Captain America and has a big beef with Captain America, even though he probably didn't fight Captain America and he's delusional.
Well, he probably fought, if he fought anyone, he fought the black Captain America who was in Falcon and the Winter Soldier.
Well, he said he fought him in the 80s.
Yeah, so therefore that couldn't be Steve Rogers' Captain America, but it could have been the other lad, the old black Captain America from Falcon.
Yes, it could have been.
He could have fought him.
He wasn't Captain America then.
No, he fought
Captain America. So you've got a guy who's got an interesting character built around fighting Captain America.
No, fucking Falcon, the old guy.
No, I'm very aware who you're talking about. Ignore Matt.
Well, Matt doesn't.
Okay, yeah, I remember.
Yeah, you've got a character whose entire identity is built around Captain America and fighting Captain America, and you've got somebody who fights like Captain America, and they fight, and nothing comes of that, and they don't mention it.
No, what
his whole character. Why was Ray Winston Russian?
Also, I think the big moral message we need to take away from Black Widow is it's okay to be an abusive parent as long as you're funny and quirky later.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a bit of a mixed message there, isn't it?
Because Red Guardian's behaviour at the beginning, with the whole drugging the children and sending them off to the kill program, kind of gets swept under the rug because he's quirky.
Yeah.
As somebody with face blindness, it took me a really fucking long time to realise that was the same guy.
Marvel does this a lot, where they kind of don't take anything very seriously, even if it's really very serious. Everything's got this quirkiness to it because they think that's brand, but then they still try and do very serious stories, but with the quirkiness, and I'm like,
But they really like doing the abusive dad story, and they've done like 4 of them, and because different writers and different directors have been involved, they've all come to different conclusions. Like Tony Stark, it's okay his dad was a bit abusive because it was actually for Tony's benefit, so it's okay. And Red Guardian was abusive, but it's okay because he's funny. Which is why I really like Guardians of the Galaxy 2, because Guardians of the Galaxy 2 says, hey, Peter's dad was abusive, and that makes him a twat, and Peter's entirely justified in cutting him out and finding someone who's a better father figure. It's like, yes, well done! Bonus points to you, Guardians 2, for being the only Marvel film to have an abusive dad who doesn't get whitewashed by the end.
No, I need to address, I also saw Shang-Chi.
That was really fun.
Yeah, but that was about an abusive dad. An abusive dad story.
That was another abusive dad story, because Marvel just loves them.
Yeah, but the entire setup is like, oh, he's lived for several thousand years and he's massacred 1 billion people because he's an evil god. And it's like, well, he's fine now. He's a dad. I'm like, what?
I mean, just to say, Black Widow technically had 2 abusive dads in that film.
I mean, really, what S.H.I.E.L.D. should be doing is, if it wants to keep an eye on future upcoming superpower people, is just keep a checklist of everyone whose mum is dead and whose dad is abusive. Because that's the clearest sign you've got coming up that person's going to get superpowers in about 20 years.
I've got a question, a lot of questions about Black Widow. You know, Ray Winston, for some reason, playing a Russians. Why would you get like the guy with? It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. His ability to not get shot was based on the fact that she could smell his pheromones, right?
Yeah.
Why didn't she just go to the other side of the big room?
Yeah, I think that's a problem that's bigger than that.
Hold
because
her breath.
The most hilarious thing is, in her backstory, it's specifically established that the last way she tried to assassinate him was planting a bomb and then detonating it remotely. A plan that, even though she's already tried to kill him with that method, the self-defense mechanism he came up with would not have protected him from that exact method again. It would have worked if she'd planted a bomb, gone out of smell range, and then pressed the button. Literally the same method she'd already almost killed him with would have worked a second time.
Yeah. There's a lot of... I didn't like that it became magical mind control as opposed to like the really cool... Well, they've been doing like that, the brainwashing stuff, which you can sort of just fight about if you're strong enough, Winter Soldier style. You've got to put the effort in, though. This time it was literally magic mind control that could be undone with a smelly sauce.
Yeah.
They don't really know what they're doing, Marvel. I feel like they've kind of got to a point where they got shit. We've kind of run out of our main stuff, but they're trying to like.
I think they're really fun building up to a mass. The multiverse stuff they've been building through the TV series is actually quite fun.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. The TV series have all entirely been hits.
I'd argue
WandaVision, Loki, What If have all been fun.
I'd argue What If.
What If was great fun, yeah.
No, I'd argue
What If was a bit just fun little digestible content.
The problem with What If is there's 3 episodes of What If. There's 3 episodes of What If which don't have an ending. That stop halfway through.
Yes.
They just stop halfway through and it's like, well, and I'm like, what?
They ran out of paper, so that was it.
I mean, there's one episode that didn't even air, which is...
the Gamora one. Yeah, that's why she's in the last one. It's like, what?
Yeah.
They had to pull it and they're putting it in the next season. They didn't finish it in time.
You can vaguely guess what's going on in it.
There's also a really weird thing with it because almost every character is voiced by the original actor, right? Aside from Tony, Steve, and Peter.
Drax.
Though Steve's, in all fairness, the Steve replacement actor did a pretty good job.
Yeah, but then what's his name? The Collector.
Yeah.
He's voiced by his original voice actor. He doesn't sound like it. He sounds like he's being impersonated.
Well, the thing is, this is why you don't generally get traditional film stars in to do voice work, because they're not the same skill set. Yeah, but when they got Peter Dinklage in to voice Destiny, it was so bad they had to literally
but it's not like that. It's like they're playing themselves, that character they've already played.
But even so, if you don't have a proper set and actors to bounce off and, all the cameras, sometimes people can't do it. And I think Hayley Atwell, for example, did not do a good job as Captain Carter. She sounded very stunted.
You mean the episode that was just Captain America 1, but with Peggy instead of...
Yeah. I think Hayley Atwell did not do well, and I'm not saying that doesn't mean she's a bad actress. She's really good in the film, but I think she can't do it when she's in a voice studio.
So to catch up here, we have one episode of it, which is just Captain America 1, but with fucking Peggy instead of Steve. We have two episodes, the zombie one and the... What's the other one? That don't finish. They just don't have an ending.
That was the Killmonger one that just didn't end, wasn't it?
Those two which just... They get to a point...
Because there was clearly about to be an ending where Pepper and Shuri were going to deal with him, then they didn't.
Yeah, and so they don't end. Then there's the weird Thor one, which...
that was fun!
I loved Looney Tunes
Thor is the best Thor, and I demand more Thor of that nature.
Party Thor was amazing. What are you chatting about?
I thought the best one was the Doctor Strange one.
Nah,
honestly, I thought that was actually the least interesting. Because it was very tropey. It was just, man tries to use time travel to fix problems,
tropey,
but can't.
Classic kid having a party is not.
It's just really standard science fiction trope.
Yeah, I mean, the Party Thor one was almost Looney Tunes. I loved it.
Yeah, it was just dumb as shit.
I liked that they got it was fun. I didn't think it was
all the countries, when he went out into space, all the countries had their names written on them. How do you not love that?
That was just ridiculous.
I enjoyed that they got Jeff Goldblum and fucking Carl Urban in. Just how
wholesome was Loki and Thor's relationship in that? Yeah. That was lovely.
It was a lovely thing.
It just wasn't... Great. I had fun with it. I'm fine with an episode just being fun. I like that they at least tried to do ones that were just kind of fun and slapstick, and then they tried to do ones that were a bit more serious. I just didn't like that they had 2 episodes that didn't end. That annoyed me to know.
Loki was the worst one for me, simply because a lot of plot points in the Paradox, it came fucking close to touching and was genuinely unnerving to watch.
Back now on unbound.com/books-of-paradox.
I know, there was some points in that when, they've literally got a very similar setup to one of the bits in Paradox, and I'm like, oh fuck, are they about to literally undercut me? And then they absolutely fucked it up, and I went, oh thank God. They set up, I'm not going to say what it is, but they set up a really interesting dilemma and decided that it wasn't a dilemma, and I was like, okay. Thanks, bye.
If anything, it's kind of, the ending kind of ruined Age of Ultron for me, because if you look at how fucking awesome Ultron was in the ending of whatever, you just think, wow, they really fucking did Ultron dirty in his film.
Yeah, but that's where we got the Vision from, as being the ultra powerful.
Yeah, but he wasn't. He just got every fight Vision was ever in the MCU. He got beaten. Every one. He just got beaten to shit.
No, he didn't. No, he didn't. He did really well in the airport fight in Civil War.
In everything, he's controlled. He's really controlled. He does exactly what he needs to do and nothing more. He got the shit kicked out of him in Endgame, but that's because he got fucking stabbed in the arsehole while he was snogging Wanda.
Yeah, by a special anti-him weapon.
Yeah. I did in a scene that gave me the biggest jump scare I've ever had in the cinema. I don't know why, it really shut me up. Oh, fucking hell.
I just feel he's not had enough time to just be him, I feel. He's always... Everything he's ever in...
WandaVision helps with that.
WandaVision does help with that, I agree. Which is why I really like WandaVision.
It's very fun.
I want to be more... I did think it was interesting in What If, the bit where, like, Thanos comes out and he just cuts him in half.
Cuts him in half.
Yeah, just bye.
Yeah, I feel
Do you know how that worked, though? Do you know how it worked? He aimed for the head to start with. Sliced him head first.
Oh, that's hilarious. I didn't even think about that.
I feel like they just done that. They just done that in Endgame.
This is done.
Yeah, it's right in there, you know. Just deal with the whole thing straight away.
It's done.
No second film. Dear. Everything's grand now, you know?
No, I'm still just looking out the window occasionally. I'm scared.
Oh, for fuck's sake, John.
You've actually given me...
Their one job is to stay in the air. This is like complaining that you can drive anywhere and then going, right, everyone's going to be driving into my house.
I mean, to be fair, I've had 8 people drive into my house. I live on a very dodgy corner, so they take my fence out a lot. So, you know, it happens. You got to live in a... John's right. John's definitely going to die via an aircraft before the next episode of the podcast. How funny would that be if it did, though? Is there anybody here, right? I'll give you John's address if you're a pilot, and you can dive bomb his house and shit him up.
No,
it's just say the same thing. You know, I was about to say, imagine the same thing, but with submarines. But no, that'd be way less bad because you can't crash a submarine into someone's house. So that's fine. Like, I'd be happier if all these hobby pilots became hobby submarinists instead. And they all just had their own private submarine, and they just fucked off and navigated by the ocean floor.
John, you know how that's worse, right?
No, it's not, because all they can kill is themselves. They can't kill anybody else.
Okay, yeah, someone flying a Cessna isn't going to kill you.
Oh, sorry. Saying if I'm walking down the street and a Cessna crashes into me, I'm finding crumbles against my skin.
It's not going to crash into you. You know why? Because air travel's the safest thing ever.
I've got to stop recording. A Cessna just hit my house. I think it's damaged one roof tile. Oh no, it's fine. Carry on.
Literally, John, like...
You seem to have the impression that Cessnas are like made out of puppies' kisses and tissue paper.
No, they're basically made out of tissue paper. They basically are. They're so light and they are not structurally sound at all. They're just meant to fly. If they hit anything, they're going to break.
That's interesting. So how do they fly? What makes them fly? Is there an engine?
Yes.
What's the engine made out of?
Metal.
Oh, that's interesting. And what's on the front of that thing? Like, it's a propeller of some description.
John.
Is it rotating by any chance?
John, so you're saying that in a very specific instance where a plane hits you, but the propeller's the first thing that hits you and it doesn't hit anything else first, that's the one instance you're worried about.
No. Just in general, like my home. If something that's got a massive fuck-ass engine with a spinning propeller that's going at thousands of RPM hits my house, yes, I'm worried!
John, birds break those propellers. Birds!
Cessnas, I've looked it up, weigh less than smart cars.
Yeah, but I don't trust them either. Those fucking robot twats.
There was a smart car parked outside my house. I could get my car out, and I just lifted it up and moved it, John. They're not like a...
The thing is, John, planes are like... They're so aggressively safe. That's why there's never any air accidents. There's barely any. There's like
9/11.
There have been certain fairly major world-changing ones.
No, there's been very large-scale ones, but in the there's very few accidents a year even.
They did have to pull out an entire line of Boeings out of service because they kept crashing and killing everyone.
There were 2 accidents. 2.
Yes, and then they were so worried there might be more, they had to ground an entire fleet.
The air travel, the entire industry is so safety conscious that even 2 crashes is too many.
Yes! Are you saying that That's overly cautious?
No, I'm saying that's why you shouldn't be...
massive carriers full of people
that
crashing and killing everyone on board.
Point is that this is a
dead each. That was overly cautious.
You're not listening to me. My point is that, yes, that's incredibly cautious, and that's why air travel's really safe.
Because it's the absolute bare minimum.
John, my point is that air travel's really safe.
You just said that a plane fucking crashed and then they just kept the same plane flying. Then another one crashed. Maybe we should do something now. Now the death counts into the thousands. Maybe we should look into this.
It wasn't in the thousands.
Okay, it was in the high hundreds.
Yeah, but look, the point is, John...
okay, as long as it doesn't cross the magic 4-digit number,
John, the point
Captain Grim Reaper over here.
The point is, air travel is incredibly safe.
We haven't even killed 1,000 people yet. Keep them flying, lads. Yeah, we don't need to bother knowing your flight plan. Have fun up there.
The air travel industry is, imagine the equivalent of, like, there's like 2 drunk driving accidents. They go, we're just going to ban drinking altogether. That's the equivalent of the air travel industry. In that any time an accident happens, they basically stop it ever happening again. And that's why air travel's so aggressively safe.
Aside from the time we were just describing where the same thing took down 2 planes in a row.
Yeah, I'm saying, like, sometimes things happen a couple of times. But they are always resolved.
That's like, Concorde's the great example, isn't it? Because Concorde was pretty safe and alright.
I
it was
miss
a little
Concorde.
bit over budget. Really cool. And then in the year 2001 crashed and killed everybody. And then they went, okay, no more Concorde.
Yeah, I missed them. They should have just made
their tires were shit. I think that's just Concorde's tires like exploded like every fucking time they took off or something. It was hilarious.
What very good tires.
I think I read somewhere that they were just going to have to stop it anyway because they just couldn't make the economics of it work. It was too expensive.
Yeah, too expensive to fly.
Also too loud.
Too beautiful.
It did cause a massive explosion-y thing that everyone in the world heard.
That's how yeah, okay, sure.
Yeah, sorry, I forgot it was Krakatoa, wasn't it? In the Concorde.
Oh, John.
Everyone in the world heard.
Sweet, innocent, poor John.
Everyone reasonably nearby in the world.
So not everyone in the world. It's like dealing with a fucking toddler talking to John sometimes. Everyone in the world heard it. Was it just the people who lived in Shoreditch?
I'm gonna be killed by a Cessna, quick!
I'm just saying, we ban everybody from having private planes and we give them private submarines as compensation.
So what
that
if you
way
wanna...
they can still have live their dumb I'm a captain fantasy out, except they're only going to get themselves killed when they fuck
John,
up.
this sounds like a bit of a strawman argument.
I wanted to be a pilot. That's what I was going to be as a kid. I drew pictures of planes.
I wanted to be an architect.
I wanted to...
But it turned out at the age of 14, I learned I was terrible at technical drawing, so that dream died fast.
You know who is an architect? Orange Cassidy.
Really?
He's legit. Yeah, he's legitimately an architect.
He's a wrestler, John.
He's a wrestler from AEW. John, why don't you watch the wrestling?
There's not enough historical accuracy.
I mean, what's more Grecian than oily men grappling each other? You know,
I admire it as a kind of a blend of sport and theatre. I think it's really interesting.
Yeah, you should watch it.
For context, John, Orange Cassidy, he wears junk shorts, and the attitude is he's really lazy. So when he fights, he has his hands in his pockets. He just sort of slightly kicks people. He's very good.
Yeah, his gimmick is he's lazy. And then he'll try if he really wants something. He'll try.
Sorry, you're like, I'm unimpressed. Clock boy.
No, I'm not. I want to be clear. I'm
not,
John,
you like wrestling because there's a whole...
it's not real, don't you? It's like, I really admire something that's a blend of very...
John, watch the Rumble. Watch the Rumble. There's a clock running through the entire thing.
No, even better, every match has the timekeeper's area.
It does have the timekeeper's area.
AEW has 30-minute time limits for every match. John, you could watch me.
I'd like to be one of those timekeepers. Actually, that feels like halfway to being a time priest.
They get a bell.
You could ring the bell as well, John.
Ooh,
you like a bell, don't you, John?
I do.
Yeah, is it nap time? Are we getting close to nap time, John?
This is not what the bell is for. The bell is for the extremely important, separation of different times. One of which may be nap time, but it's not on all occasions.
Do you think,
John... I'd like to be a judge of? I'd like to be a judge in a really boring Olympic sport like curling. That sounds fun.
Hey, we have to care about curling because we won it or didn't once in one Winter Olympics. And now if you say you don't like it, you're killed.
I think curling's really fun.
I'm going to buy you one of those bells that says ring for sex on it, John, just to see if you'll touch it or not. I wonder if you'll panic.
John will touch it.
I don't think he will. John doesn't strike me as a sex haver.
We've already had this discussion.
No, we had the nude discussion. I don't think he's a sex hammer. It's got very quiet on John's side.
A gentleman does not go onto the roof of Lincoln College, Oxford, and tell.
Oh, the fingering incident. Not sex, John, just fingering, innit?
Halfway
Gynecology
there,
at
living on a
best.
prayer.
Halfway there.
Look, it would be.
You're all the way there. You just brought the wrong vehicle.
All the ladies involved for me to give any more details.
Both.
Anyway, moving swiftly on.
Daniel, what was your point about wanting to be a pilot? You trailed off.
Yeah, you wanted to be a pilot because apparently maybe you wanted to drive into my house, you twat.
I just did, and then I was like, I'm gonna get the thing, and they were like, your eyesight's too bad, you can't do it, and that was the end.
Do you want to know a fun fact, John?
You need more than GCSEs to become a pilot, which ruled you out.
I don't have good enough eyesight to be able to drive. Wow. Do you know that? I don't have eyesight good enough to be able to drive.
Yeah, that tracks.
Is that true?
Yeah, you have to be able to read a license plate from 20 meters.
Do you have none of a driving license because you just can't see well enough?
He can't see anything.
I was reading the stuff.
If you're wearing glasses, you were fine.
No, God.
No, my glasses are like get me some of the fucking way there, but they're still not good enough to let me read super far distance.
Are you saying that there literally aren't glasses strong enough to let you see?
There are, but I'd have to swap between long range and short range. Like in the one that does everything, I can't do that. So it's like
you're simultaneously short and long-sighted.
My vision is I'm +8.5, +9. I think my vision is. It's got worse recently.
So like there's one like optimal distance, maybe like 30 feet away from you, where you can see it. Everything closer or further away is just
there is no
like someone's turned depth of field in a game up to 11.
It's my original glasses that I had when I was a kid. But the first few pairs were almost an inch thick.
No, that's just you're just saying that for a humorous
genuinely,
effect.
John, he's not joking.
I'm not joking.
That can't be true. That's impossible.
He's not joking.
Like fucking magnifying glasses aren't that thick.
Well, because I've got less than 90 degree field of view when I got my glasses on. So if I'm looking at my middle monitor now, I can see less than half of the other two flanking monitors, and that's it. And then beyond that is nothing. I can't see anything because there's like the rim of the glasses, and then there's nothing.
I don't think you truly appreciate how bad his eyesight is, John.
Eyesight is fucking terrible.
I've tried his glasses
based on everything based on everything I know from superhero like literature and media, presumably this means you either have super hearing or super smell or something.
No.
No, but that happens.
I've got supervision.
You've got one bad sense, you have superpowers in the others. That's how that works.
I've got supervision. As in, someone comes around every few days and make sure I've got dinners and stuff.
And haven't set everything on fire but haven't noticed yet.
Yeah.
That's my job.
There's a wibbly orange thing over there, but I'm really not sure what's going on. It might be a problem. It might just be a cat that's broken in, or it could be a fire. You're not 100% on this.
Yeah, I can't actually see the fucking... Yeah, I don't get 20/20 vision out of it.
Okay, I think it's definitely better you don't have a plane.
Yeah, but here's the thing, John, that's going to annoy you. You know what I've done? I have flown
a Cessna. Pilot's license.
No, I have flown a Cessna with VFR flight rules.
As in, like, can just anyone do it if they've got like a qualified person like sitting with?
Oh yeah, I did a lesson. Yeah, I did a couple of lessons.
Okay, well, I assume that works. Like, is it the same as like like a special car that driving instructors have, where even though you're driving, they've got all mirrored controls next to you, so
John, if
they need to, they can just take control instantly.
John, have you ever seen the fucking cockpit of a plane? Every single plane is that. What the fuck are you talking about?
Well, I guess that's true, actually. Yeah, I never thought about it.
Every plane is that. Every single plane.
That's true. I just never thought about it.
Oh, shit. I just looked something up. I didn't know what it meant. Because 20/20 is the American style of vision marking. And in this country, we have like +8 and stuff. Mm-hmm. So 20/20 vision means that you can clearly see at 20 feet what should normally be seen at 20 feet.
Yeah.
So if you have 2100 vision, that means you have to be as close as 20 feet to see what a person with normal vision can see at 100 feet. I have 2200 vision.
That sounds bad.
So what people can clearly see at 200, I've got to be like 20 feet away. It's bad. I don't have good eyes. I've got very bad eyes.
The 20/20 scale was just out of 20, like a score for your vision. Like if someone can see mostly pretty well, like my vision's pretty good, but maybe a tiny bit blurry at really long range. So, I'm 19 out of 20. I'm 19/20. You know, Claire's maybe down towards 12, 20. She needs some thick glasses, but it's not so bad.
The key point, though, here is that 20/20 vision is not 100%. It's just, they just said that's enough. You can have way higher than 20/20 vision.
Yeah.
You know, most people have 20/20.
Yeah, if you're a superhero who can see something if it was as clear as 20 feet away, but from 100 feet away.
Well, yeah, but you're not... Well,
like you've got Superman zoom-in vision.
But, like, if... I, for example...
Wait, did Superman have the ability to zoom in? Was that a Superman thing? I know he had X-ray, but could he zoom in?
You can do it.
Well, he's quite close. He was fast, wasn't he? He could just get closer.
That's true.
Well, every time Superman zoomed in, he actually flew down and flew back up very quickly.
Oh. I mean, let's just put it this way. Superman did wear glasses, yeah?
but
Well, they
didn't need them.
They were a bit of blank frames. Don't know how no one noticed, really.
Well, presumably they were just, like, with perfectly smooth glass in them, and just no one noticed that.
Yeah. I mean, I'd like to point out, because I can't, my eyes are so bad, I can't get laser eye surgery.
I'd be willing to give it a shot.
Well, they say, because I can't get it done. It won't go down to 8. I can't get it down to, I think there's 4 they said I could get to. So I could like, make my vision better, but, like, I still have to wear fucking glasses. And also, there's a 5% chance per eye that you'll go permanently blind.
That seems like quite a high chance.
Yeah, it kind of put me off a little bit. Yeah, I don't... Yeah. But anyway, so I've got... Because my glasses are really fucked. Because I've got astigmatism, I've got wobbly bent eyes, I've got all this sort of shit. But until I lived in Finland a few years back, I didn't know how the distance worked. Because I assumed, like everybody, when you looked into the distance, you waited 2 or 3 seconds for the 2 images to go together so you could see what was in the distance.
No, that's not how it works.
No, that's not how that fucking works!
I've heard a lot of stories.
You just look over there and you see it.
Yeah, no, I know.
And maybe
I'm very
it's a
aware
tiny
of that.
bit blurry if it's really far away, but like most it's fine.
I've had so many stories of Daniel thinking something was a perfectly normal thing that everyone did for eyesight and then realising far too late that it wasn't.
In all fairness, I'm partially colourblind, so I can't throw stones.
You shouldn't throw stones.
Mm-hmm.
You should.
It's a very small race. It's just a small amount of reds, browns, and greys all look identical to me.
No!
I've got perfect.
New Vegas looks very grey.
Wait. Oh no! I'm legally blind.
That's probably good. You can probably get all sorts of like special dispensations and good parking spaces.
Yeah, when Rebecca gets that driving license, she can get a card.
20 over 200 is the legal blindness. It's where legal blindness starts. So if I don't have my glasses on, I'm legally blind.
There's got to be some perks to that.
I used to always joke about that, but I've just literally just discovered it's true.
Like, you know, get just, you know, you should be able to like walk to the front of the queue at Disney World or something with that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
Get yourself like, you know, a stick and some sunglasses and whatever.
So you know when you go to the opticians and it's got the big E, Langston. It's got the big E.
There are actually other letters below that. You might not be aware of them. But
with my glasses off,
there's also
I
a pyramid
read.
Of progressively small letters that most people can see.
With my glasses off, I can't read the E at the top or the A or whatever letter. I can't read the top letter with it off. My glasses.
It's an 8.
No, legitimately, right? I have tried on Daniel's glasses a few times, and it's horrifying. Because it's like your world is compressed into a small point.
Yeah,
that you could never escape from. And somehow your eyes. So I have perfect vision, and when I wear those glasses, my eyes.
Fucking rub it in, you cunt!
Yeah, right.
Oh, we're perfect vision.
I went to the opticians for a thing because whenever I was like at the theater, the stage was always blurry, and I went and they were like, "Oh, we can give you glasses for that," and I went, "What?" And they went, "Oh, it's plus 0.3 on one eye." And I went, "All right." So I got glasses.
I'm like 0.5. I'm about the same.
I was only on one eye, and then whenever I've had subsequent glasses eye tests, they've said I actually don't have that. So I was apparently done wrong the first time.
Yeah, I'm the tiniest bit long in one eye and the tiniest bit short in the other, like 0.5 and 0.3, but I just don't care. I just live with that.
Yeah, the point here, normal eyesight. When I put on Dan's glasses, it basically goes, it assumes I have Daniel's eyes, obviously. Yeah. So my eyes get crossed, and I can't see anything in front of me at all.
Yeah, that's because I've got a special thing called Prism, which corrects the distance thing.
And this is a point. This is why, like, lenses for stuff like the Index don't work for you, isn't it? Like special lenses.
Yeah, I can't get lenses to go. This is why I complain when people are like, "Oh, just get lenses for the Index." I literally can't get them Actually, that's not true anymore because there are some that do. You can now get Prism in them.
But they're really expensive.
You can get some. They are so ludicrously expensive.
They're like 400, 300 quid or something. For something.
And ludicrous. The chances are, like, I have to when I get a new pair of glasses, it takes several trips to be able to get them right because they're such a faff.
And your eyesight's changing fairly. I wouldn't say that frequently, but
it's getting worse.
Frequently
slowly.
enough that spending £400 in some inserts for one specific VR headset.
Doesn't
see,
seem
this
like
is probably why Dan's not scared of small planes, because he's never seen one. As far as he's concerned, it's just... He just looks up at the sky, it's just a vaguely grey-blue thing. He's not aware how many Cessnas there are up there, Dan. You could be 17, dangerously close to your house right now, and you'd have no fucking clue.
It's not very many. You know, I can check how many there are.
Oh, well, fucking don't.
Well, I assume there's like a special... Yeah,
check how many there are for John's house.
Information,
I don't give a shit.
Oh, they're all fucking tracked. Obviously, you can... There's an app, John. If you want to see where all the Cessnas are and check if they're not near your house, you can tell.
You just see where, like, literally every plane in the world is at any point. Is that just public?
Yeah.
That's really cool.
I mean, it might as well be public.
Website called Flight Radar. I can see.
I mean, to be honest, I feel like I would know if there was a plane dangerously close to my house because I could look outside and see it.
So there's lots of planes. So there's like, for example, over Wales, there's a bunch of like here. There's GLOOR from the Shropshire Aero Club. That's clearly doing.
Oh
VFR.
Shit, we found Shropshire.
Yeah, it's clearly doing some weird VFR flying because its flight path is just like wiggly wobbly, fucking all over the place. Because it's clearly looking at shit. There's a couple of gliders around above Shrewsbury. There is.
Wait, how do they track gliders?
Everything's got a fucking transponder on it.
Do drones have transponders on them?
No, but this is a whole contention because drones.
Oh shit! I've walked into the flipping Air Flight T.
Well, this is the thing. To fly drones over a certain weight, you basically have to almost treat them as light airplanes.
Well, that seems fair to me, to be honest.
It does, but that's why drones are hard to thingy now. But, like, there's loads
what
of
about kites? Do you have to have a transponder on your kite?
No, kites don't
have
have
breaking the law as a child.
No, kites don't have engines.
Should we mention drones at this point? Because there's a lot of laws about drones. Fucking hell's bells.
Daniel?
Yeah?
That's what we just said.
I'm not listening. I must admit, I'm actually looking at shit and moving my glasses on and off, being like, fuck, I'm so blind!
This is a revelation to you.
Everything's so much bigger with my glasses on.
Is this just the PodCats of revelation standing there going, shit, I had no idea I was so blind. I'm sitting here going like, shit, I had no idea planes were about to kill me.
Yeah, Matt,
what's your terrifying revelation of the day?
Yeah, Matt, what are you going to reveal?
What nightmarish revelation are you having today?
Have you been pooing blood or anything?
No, I'm all right. I'm feeling all right. I'm grand.
Wait, you're not supposed to do that.
I'm feeling A-okay.
If it's red, it's fine. It's probably an anal fissure. But if it's like darker, you've probably got something dodgy going.
You know what's annoying? That's you've said that to me before. That's what's annoying. You've made that joke before. To me,
it's not a joke.
Exactly. That's what makes it worse.
Medical information.
That's what makes it worse. You've said that to me multiple times.
Look, if you're going to eat a kebab, you've got to expect the risks.
Oh, there's a plane above your dad's house.
Oh my god!
Oh, what is it? It's a Piper. It's not a Cessna. It's a Piper.
Oh, it's Billy.
Plane.
Yeah. Oh my god. You know the plane from fucking... What was that plane that was in that kid's show with all the fucking polka dots on it?
The plane that was in that kid's show. You're young. Your kids' shows are different to us.
Exactly. Are you talking about...
I didn't see it, but it's a thing. I've never seen it. It's a thing.
I grew up in the era, you know, sort of like Tots TV. John grew up in the era of Finger Mouse. You grew up in the era of, I don't know, the Brazzle Dazzles.
I remember Tots TV.
The problem...
Tots
No, the problem...
What was...
Of course you liked it.
I grew up in the best era for kids' cartoons.
French lass in it.
I got the X-Men cartoon, the Spider-Man cartoon.
Oh, God.
Wait, sorry. If you remember Touch TV, you'll remember distinctly it had a French lass in it, didn't it, John? Did that awaken anything in you, do you think?
Maybe that explains everything. Who knows?
I'm a touch, sweet as a touch.
I'm Googling this thing. Come outside.
What's a good way of introducing children to France?
Come outside.
To French.
Aired from 93 to 97.
Oh. So, when I was a grown-up.
Well, I haven't seen it. But my point is that it has a... Basically, it's about a woman
Come
and a
outside
dog.
If it's a plane that's outside flying around saying, come outside, that's some Junji Ito shit. That thing's gonna,
it's a plane.
That's going to attack you.
It's like a woman and her dog, right? And they go, oh, shit, we've got to go on an adventure. And they run out to the field that they live next to and they get in a literal plane, like they have a plane in the show.
Oh, I'm aware of that plane, yeah.
Yeah, it's one of those, but not painted with polka dots. That's what's flying over your dad's house.
I'm trying to find out how much a Cessna costs, and they won't bloody tell me.
You can find out.
The website refuses to say.
No,
I'm gonna look on eBay.
Also, I like that you said some lady when it's fucking Linda Barron.
Cheaper planes, John, are can be 30, 40,000. A cheap plane is about the price of a luxury car.
34. I feel like there should be more of a barrier to that.
John, the barrier to entry is that you have to pay tens of thousands to get a license. That's the barrier to entry. It's called qualifications, which I don't know anything about, obviously, but is a thing.
How much do you get a pilot's license?
Literally, so Daniel will appreciate this as well, in the same thing, because I wanted to be a pilot, and when I looked into it, went, because that's the thing. Even if you had perfect eyesight, Daniel, you still would not be a pilot, I imagine.
It costs over £100,000 to become a commercial airline pilot.
Yeah. And if you consider how much property costs these days, what if rather than buying a house, you bought a plane and just lived in it?
Well, you probably have to pay quite a bit more in fuel than a normal house.
True, but you also don't have to pay council tax. There are two council
taxes. Well, no, actually, you have to pay the airport that you have the plane in. There is. Oh my god! Right, there's a little town in America somewhere. Obviously, it's in America that all the streets are literally aircraft taxiways, and they have massive garages for each of the houses, and there's a little plane in each of them, and there's a runway, and everyone just goes out in the planes.
Are you confusing?
No, that's a real place.
The Jetsons.
No, that's a real place. It's like for aircraft enthusiasts, and they all live there on a runway.
Now you see that's a place I'd be scared about a plane crashing in my house.
No, I'd be scared about that. It's America. I'm scared of everything there. I'd be scared to eat food or drink water there, let alone someone crashing. That's a problem later. That's a problem later. I've got the America rant portion.
Okay, hang on. You were telling me it was in the tens of thousands. I'm seeing here that a pre-owned Cessna is $300,000.
What type of Cessna are you looking at?
A pre-owned modern 172.
That's not 172. A lot of them get big overhauls and stuff. They're expensive new. I mean,
that worries me even more. Are you saying there's a big second-hand market of cheap knackered Cessnas that the people who can barely afford to be a pilot just take up, even though they're knackered?
All parts in aircraft, they have a very specific service life that they can't go over, and they have to replace them in that service life. And some stuff they sell, some planes get sold cheap near the end of their service life simply because in 10,000 miles or whatever, or 10,000 running hours, they'll have to replace a load of the parts.
This makes me even more scared, because now I know there's an entire class of aeroplane that are really cheap, that the cheap asses who can only just afford to get the air are buying, and they're probably third-hand, incredibly worn down.
Again, John.
And about to fall out of the sky into my house.
Most aircraft are third fucking hand. Very few aircraft are ever bought new. That's why aircraft are in service.
Well, someone has
to
buy them new, otherwise they can't get to be third hand. Someone's buying them.
Yeah,
in 2011, a Harrier sold on eBay for 70,000. A Harrier for 70k. I mean, that's pretty good.
In fact, how can most planes be third hand? Where do they all come from? Because at some point they all had to be first hand.
Well, yeah, at some point. But this is the thing. Are
you saying that all planes were just made in the 1980s and since then, now we don't make any anymore?
You joke, but genuinely, a lot of the jetliners that are being used were made in the 80s, yeah.
Shit, have I just accidentally done a true fact?
Yeah, most...
You have.
This is
Holy shit, that's even more terrifying. I should have got a proper plane. At least it was new.
This is a big thing with 747s, because 747s are all being...
Well, how old are they?
All of them were made in the 70s and 80s. Basically, every single 747 flying was from the 80s.
I'm never flying anywhere again.
Years old. That's why they're all at the end of their service life. That's why they're all being retired, because they don't want new
I'm
ones.
going to die on a plane.
Planes, John. Planes, especially big planes like that, their lifetime is not based on how many miles it flies. It's based on how many single flights it does. It's based on how many times you go up and pressurize it. That's why long.
That makes sense. That's really interesting. That makes sense.
That's why, short haul carriers like Ryanair, who are doing 5 flights a day, their planes last way less time than the big carriers, because they might, British Airways might only be doing
So the biggest stress that you put on a plane is when it gains and lowers the pressure?
Yeah, pressure. You pressurize the cabin.
Under pressure.
But hang on. But wait, hang on. But I understand that would be true for submarines, because there's fuck tons of pressure down there. But surely when you're going up, you're going from 1 atmosphere towards 0 atmospheres.
Yeah, but you still pressurize the plane.
I found a website that sells Boeing 747s. I could just buy a Boeing 747 if I click this button.
You see, I just feel like a plane feels like a bad investment next to a submarine, because those fuckers are meant to take 500 atmospheres of pressure, which is way more. You get way more atmospheres per your money.
John, planes.
Yes.
As you pointed out, is the opposite. If you go up in a plane, the pressure of the atmosphere in the cockpit or the cabin is usually that like you're at about 6,000 feet.
How many atmospheres is that? One?
I don't know.
I don't know. You're the one who's sounding like you know what you're talking about. You know the word Cessna, whatever that is.
How do they ship a plane to you?
They fly it out. Delivery driver just gets in, just fly this over there.
I watched a documentary about this. It's actually a weird.
Just find a field nearby.
No, there's a weird subset of delivery plane pilots who have to basically, because a lot of these short haul planes, a lot of planes could only have the range to fly from like London to Paris. But if an aircraft company in Poland buys a plane from a company in America, they have to get that plane to them, and then they have to do this ridiculous flight where they basically
a series of short hops?
Yeah, but they have to strip everything out the plane for it to even like get over the sections of water, like from Greenland to Scotland. Sometimes that's a bit too long for some of these planes. So there's just this ridiculous industry of these pilots who've learned how to strip all these planes and do these really long endurance flights to these planes that aren't designed for it to deliver them.
So can we just roll back about 30 minutes to the point where you're saying, John, don't you understand that aircraft are the most safe things in the world? So yeah, sometimes planes can't go over water, and they can barely, and sometimes they just kind of don't make it.
Yeah,
they try and cross a bit of water, but sometimes they just can't. And we're not sure whether they're about to crash or not.
John, they do make it. You know why? Because lots of maths involved. That's another reason I'm not a pilot, because But the key point here, John, is you know how many of those delivery planes crash? None. None of them crash.
I don't know. I think we wouldn't hear about it because, like, you know,
you'd hear about
it.
It's called
public. The pilot was on a 0 hour
You know
contract.
how you would know you'd hear about it? Because they're all fucking tracked online. And plane nerds are big plane nerds, and they will fucking notice.
Actually, I can agree that, yeah, covering up a plane that just goes missing would be quite difficult if all planes are just tracked all the time.
I mean, saying that, but there was that incident with MH370. But,
I bought
this plane. Where am I going to get it delivered to?
Who was it? What was the aircraft that went? What carrier was it with, Daniel? MH370.
Is this the Bermuda Triangle?
No.
No.
What went missing in the Bermuda Triangle?
No, it was
nothing.
It was lost in the Indian
Bermuda
Ocean.
Triangle?
The Bermuda Triangle has the same amount of boat and plane crashes as any other part of the ocean.
Oh, that's boring.
There you go. I've saved but look, you're like complaining about the fucking world being a disaster of hate, and I'm like, this place that you've actually since childhood.
No, I'm just saying, I'm going boats from now on. If I want to go to Bermuda, I'm going on a boat, not a plane.
There were two things that I was warned about way more than I should have been when I was a kid. One was quicksand, and the other was the Bermuda Triangle, and neither of those fucking things have ever come up.
Hey, John, do you want to know a fun fact? This app I have, right?
No, whatever. No, I don't want to hear this fun fact. For the tone of your voice, I don't want to know it.
This app is actually used, obviously, by pilots and stuff for planning. And because of that, you can turn on stuff like volcanoes. So, for example, there's lots of volcanoes marked because they're currently spitting out ash and you can't fly through the ash clouds. And there's these big areas marked like this bit has ash in, don't fly through there.
Can we mark John's house?
How many volcanoes are currently active around the world?
That are on ash risk 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7.
That feels like more volcanoes
8.
they want to be active on the planet.
Well, you say active, it's just that they're spitting out ash. They're not like not hugely erupting.
I don't know. I feel like that's that feels like that's leading in a bad direction.
But yeah, but it's called the world just doing shit, John. That's how that's how the Earth's mantle works.
There are currently 26
there's a plane that's out of control, it's speeding straight to your house, but it's still 1,000 feet away, so I wouldn't worry too much.
There's 26 active volcanoes right now, with 1,500 potentially active volcanoes that could go at any time.
Wait, what?
26 active volcanoes with 1,500 that are technically active and kind of go on and off.
So 1,500 volcanoes might just explode at any moment.
Well, explode is a loose term because they all have different ratios and they all have different terminology for how they. Oh,
hang on! I've just checked, John. They're all by your house.
Yeah. Basically, John, you're doing straw man arguments like, no, volcanoes. Like, John, you're not going to die from volcano.
Yellowstone.
Well, I'm going to be honest. As a classicist, I'm quite aware that many people have died from volcanoes.
Yeah, but you know where you're not living, John? You're not living next to a volcano, Vesuvius. Are you?
I'm not living below Vesuvius. That is a point in my favour.
Yeah, like it's not. You know why a plane's not going to crash into your house, John? Because that doesn't happen.
I am living under the sky. Don't tell me I'm not living under the sky, because I am.
It's such a it's happened maybe a dozen times in the past several decades.
Yeah, well, that's some comfort to the person, to the poor twat who gets hit by the plane, isn't
John,
there?
you're more likely
that was unlikely.
John, you're more likely to walk into a telephone box and get run over by a car and then shit yourself. You're more likely
telephone box. There are no telephone boxes.
You're more. This is my point. You're more likely to die from a staircase-related incident.
Well, yeah, that's true. The staircase can be pretty steep.
Hey, what's this? There's some ridiculous.
Okay, I'm just going to say this now. In 2020, there were 137 fatalities due to air travel. In 2019, there were 289. In 2018, 561 people died because of air travel.
Yeah, but how many of them were on the... First of all, very small numbers for a very large industry. Second of all, how many of them were on the ground? So imagine it's very few.
They probably go on the ground after they crash.
How many were on the ground? How many weren't in the plane? More specifically. If you took out all the ones who were in the plane that had the accident, it's probably very few, if any.
You have a 1 in 11 million chance of being hit by a plane.
Nah, that's too high.
No, that's it. That's the number. 1 in 11 million.
That's way too high. That means someone's getting hit by a plane, like, all the time. Every day. Like, that is not a realistic statistic. Hell, John, here's a comfort here. So back in the, I don't know, years ago, right? Many, I don't know, 90s or whatever. A plane... Actually, this reinforces your point slightly, but we've went past this. So there's a plane coming to land at LAX, and a VFR pilot hit the big plane coming into land. And the big...
What?
And the big plane span out, and then it crashed into someone's house. But here's the point.
Is this supposed to make me feel better?
And that's the 1 in 11 million.
No, but here's my point, John. Right? There was a massive plane. This is a big fucking jetliner, and it only caused people in one house to die. No other houses, only one. And you know how? and here's the other bit. Here's the other bit, John. Right? Here's the other bit. That's never happened again because we learned from it.
Yeah.
And what, we started putting stickers on the dashboards of Cessnas saying, please don't fly to the side of Boeing.
Exactly it. That's exactly what we did.
They changed how air traffic control. They changed how the tracking things. They added, what's it called? Daniel.
Wings.
No, it's a thing. It's a
flaps.
It's a thing.
Wheels.
It's a thing that if you get close to
more
another
propellers.
Plane, it's a thing that if you get close to another plane, it will alert both planes independently of air traffic control and tell them
airbags that inflate so you can't hit the other plane.
It's a barge pole, a big barge pole off the front, isn't it? There's a big barge pole off the front, and it just hits the other plane.
Actually, John,
massive elastic band.
There was a plane crash caused by a wasp once.
Yeah, that strikes me as reasonable.
Did it get in the cabin?
It wasn't in the plane. The wasp wasn't in the plane.
I did want to see a film about a plane that had snakes on it.
Yeah, but the wasp, John, the wasp wasn't in the plane.
What does it hit?
It didn't hit it. The wasp made its nest in one of the little tubes that determine... There's tubes on the outside of the plane which how the pilots determine its speed and altitude and stuff like that. And it built its nest in one of them and it blocked it. So when they were up, they were like, oh shit, we think we're at 5,000 feet, but they crashed.
You see, I'd feel better about submarines, but yeah, just last year, 53 people died in a submarine sinking.
Yeah, and I feel like there's a lot less people going... Like, planes, there's millions...
I feel like the submarine risk might actually be higher than the plane risk.
There's millions of people
yeah, but John, you are right. You're less likely to be hit by a submarine when you're on the street.
But the point is, those people took the risk by going into the submarine. They can't hit my house.
I mean, unless it's got a lot of speed and a ramp, probably not.
It would need quite a lot of speed.
But here's the thing:
it would need a hell of a run up.
Planes, most commercial planes don't tend to have nuclear weapons on them, and submarines do. So maybe you are actually more at threat of a submarine.
That's a valid point.
Yeah, but that can't happen, right? If a submarine just explodes, the nuke doesn't go off and create a nuclear explosion. It's not an arm.
It's a common prank,
but right?
It's a common prank.
You say that,
to get the newbie.
That would probably that would be a dirty bomb.
Yeah, but it's under the ocean, right? I don't live in the ocean.
John, if a nuke exploded, but it wasn't detonated, as in there was just an actual explosion and it didn't detonate the actual nuclear warhead, it would still release all the radioactive material, and that would be a dirty bomb
at the bottom of the ocean.
Yeah, you know what water does?
That should be fine.
John, water does a thing called move around. There's a thing called ocean currents, right? And all of that irradiated...
that would be bad.
Yeah, all of that irradiated water would kill everything in a minute, and it would kill everything for a very long area around it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Or make it really big.
No, that's not how it's... No.
John?
Which would offset the smaller number of fish.
John?
The actual volume of fish available would be the same.
John?
Yes?
Your chance of getting hit by a plane is 1 in 11 million. What do you think your chance of getting hit by a car is?
Where the fuck's that statistic from,
Much
Daniel?
higher.
What?
Where is that statistic from, Daniel?
A website that made it up.
Uh-huh.
For how many Americans
are we going back to the very origin of I mean, I feel like this is a good going back to the original podcast here, where I just made up facts about oranges based on Yahoo Answers.
Because that feels
are you
way
on
too
Yahoo
high.
Answers right now?
How is that too high?
1 in 11 million?
Yeah, in America.
Okay, well, first of all, that's an important note. But second of all, that, like, if it's 1 in 11 million per day?
No, 1 in 11 million.
In what timescale?
Your chance of getting
but
killed.
if there's 300 million people in the United States...
Matt, he doesn't know. He's just reading a stat off Yahoo
That
Answers.
means there's 300 people killed by being hit by a plane every day.
30, because of maths. Not every day, in their lifetime. 30 people born in the US right now are going to die because of a plane.
Yeah.
Not by being hit by a plane on the ground, just being on a plane.
No, being hit by a plane while they're on the ground. People who are alive right now, out of everybody alive right now, 30-ish of them are going to get hit by a plane and killed.
That's not very many.
No, it's fucking not. That's why it's 1 in 11 million.
Okay, that's different. But
your chance of getting hit and killed by a car, chance of getting hit and killed by a car is 1 in 4,300.
That feels higher.
Can I just need to illustrate something. I've just Googled. On the 7th of July this year, so just a few months ago, woman killed while mowing airfield runway after being struck by small plane making landing. Which, she was on the runway though. I will say that, John. She wasn't just in her house.
I feel like that's the tower's fault.
How was that the tower's fault?
The tower should know who's working in the airport and not give permission to land until the bloody runway's clear.
I'm pretty sure she wasn't on the runway. I think the pilot just came in too low, too early.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the NTSB hasn't finished the investigation yet, so...
You know, you're not making me feel better about these Cessna pilots.
Well, look, right, here's what I'm going to say.
Going down, oh, fuck it, runway! I can't find the runway, guys! Ah, splat!
When the first wave of COVID hit, 1 in 100 people was dying from it. So you got 1 in 100 versus 1 in 4,300 versus 1 in 11 million. So get jabbed, look both ways, and don't fucking worry about it. Unless you're one of the cool people who get killed by a plane.
That'd be a rad way to fucking...
It'd be so funny if one of us get hit by a plane after this. Because then this podcast will be like spread everywhere.
I'm looking up statistics. It's playing a video. Stop playing a video. I was looking at odds of dying shot, and it's playing a fucking... Wait, I'm getting a thing. Cause of death. Yes. So it's got, for example, heart disease, 1 in 6. And at the bottom here...
Fuck.
At the bottom here, railway passenger and passenger on airplane has too few deaths to actually make a ratio of. However, lightning is 1 in 138. So you're more likely to be killed by a lightning strike, or a wasp sting, or a cataclysmic storm. They put it in bold.
I'd actually rather die to lightning.
Electrocution, radiation, or extreme temperature or pressure. That's a lie.
Because I feel like lightning, it's either like the most badass way to die, and if you survive, you get those really cool patterns up your arm.
Accidental gun discharge, obviously, but more likely than that is bicyclist. Don't ride a bicycle, kids, you'll die.
Like, imagine if you go into a bar, and you start chatting to a woman, and she says, oh yeah, I really like your tattoos. You go, oh, that's just a tattoo. I just survived a lightning strike.
It wouldn't look like a
I mean, fucking hell, you're getting laid.
Okay, John, that'll be 3. But I don't think it's, I don't think that'll happen, because I think you'll be disfigured, John, when you get struck by lightning. Horribly, you look like a ghoul from Fallout, I think, if you get struck by lightning. Just your body on the face. Every other part of your body is fine, except also your penis, which was blown off. It just shot away like a missile. just
like a bottle rocket just whizzing off into the distance.
Just skims across the ground, gone into a wall, like a wet sausage being thrown against a bus. Just gone.
That's a very specific image. Too specific image, actually.
That'll be your luck, John. So, yeah, it's probably not a good idea to get struck by lightning.
There's things you can do to encourage that, though. You can tip the scales. Like a plane, it's very hard to... Well, unless you go and live in that stupid town, America. There's not much you can do to increase your chances of being hit by a plane. But lightning, you can up your chances significantly there with the right clothing and the right
John,
weather.
I disagree. You can
go to a high place while holding a metal pole.
You can definitely increase your chances by being hit by a plane by standing on a runway.
Yeah, that's true.
Also, if you put a banner,
will try and stop me.
Put a banner on your house that says "All plane drivers are wankers." That might increase it slightly.
Yeah.
How dare he? Fuck.
Yeah.
Just right on the roof. I fucking dare you, Cessna twat.
Could you imagine you're on a big plane and you just hear bong? Excuse me, ladies and gentlemen, we've just read something on the roof of somebody's house and we're going to have to go and teach this motherfucker a lesson.
Now, that was actually a good pilot voice. You missed your calling.
I know!
That was a good captain voice. I felt reassured.
Yeah. I was about to kill you all when you felt reassured. I was ready for it. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. That's my voice, you know.
Yeah, you know what? That's really good. I'd be willing to accept being smashed into a house for petty revenge if that voice told me you were about to do it.
I think you've got it. John, try and do a little pilot's voice. Let's see if you've got it as well.
What should I be announcing?
Just that there's a big tornado and you've accidentally flown into it.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. This is your captain speaking.
No, fucking, we'd die. We're dead. I'd panic immediately. I'd be hitting the tray table with my face.
You've got to have a calm and slow sense of clarity, John.
Okay, well you do it, Matt, because you've got shit voice.
Go on, Matt. Let's have a go.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. We have flown into a small tornado.
I mean, it's definitely a cheap airline. That's the first vote.
No, you've got to understand, right? I have flown on planes a lot, and almost all of them were on Ryanair. So my basis is low. You know, I've been on probably at least maybe 2,000 flights in my life. 99% of them Ryanair.
Yeah, in the flight tour on the captain's just like, well, I've just got my Cessna licence. I don't really know what most of these buttons do, but I'll give it my best shot. Good luck, everybody!
Cheap carriers tend to have very young, first-time qualified pilots.
I do enjoy Ryanair because when the plane lands, everyone gives a genuine round of applause.
Every fucking time.
Because they're happy to be not dead.
They always land so hot. They always land so fucking steep and so fast, and you just go boom, and then it just because they just come in really fast and hot. Especially when when I was going from Liverpool to Dublin, because the flight's only 25 minutes, so they just don't.
It just sounds like something like the co-pilot just double dog dares the pilot to do.
Literally, it does feel like it, and then they apologise for the rough landing every time. Every single time. And I was like, hey! I'm like, oh.
You see, I feel like this is something I should be scared of as well, Ryanair planes.
Well, actually, Ryanair's safety record is one of the best in the world, interestingly.
Yeah, you're just more likely to be stabbed on the plane.
Yeah.
Than...
You actually, genuinely, you're more likely to have an incident on the plane from another passenger than the plane itself. Because Ryanair, maintenance is really expensive, so Ryanair and taking a plane out to have to do a big overhaul to it is expensive and get it off. So they actually keep their planes really well maintained, so they don't ever have to pull them out. So they're actually quite good with.
I like the fact that I would be the best pilot here, and that's good to know considering I can't see.
I think there's a difference between best pilot and best voice for a pilot.
Yeah.
No, I think that's everything.
Qualifications.
I think you want to keep everybody calm and well.
It's
you
were
comfortable.
The voice announcements anyway. You could be a good co-pilot.
No, you get the captain does the initial one. Hello, I'm the captain.
Always.
Welcome aboard this flight 777777777.
No, it's most of the Ryanair ones. Over half the time it was the co-pilot.
Yeah, because the pilot's drunk on Ryanair. Yeah. The co-pilot is the pilot. The actual pilot hasn't turned up. He's woken up in some fucking...
There's a great there's a great air crash. No, there's one where there's a Russian pilot and he's really fucking pissed off how he did crash the plane. There was a Russian Air Force plane that used literal vodka in its cooling system. Yeah, and the cooling system suspiciously kept breaking because all of the vodka was drained out of it. Legitimately, that was a real thing.
Okay, here's interesting. So, the number of hovercraft fatalities is really low.
Well, yeah, because it's like 5 hovercraft.
And they kill like 8 people
each. It's a safe way to travel in absolute terms.
I guess, but like, you know...
Did you know that 25% of all hovercraft have been involved in a fatal accident?
That's possibly true.
Yeah, it's not true. I made it up, but it feels real because hovercrafts are so fucking ludicrously dangerous.
There's the thing. I could say that there's been 0 deaths on chronoplans in the past 2 decades, which is technically true.
Quite a lot of deaths on horses. Horses probably not a safe way to drive.
I'd say bicycles.
I just feel like I know I shouldn't be, but I'm more impressed by absolute deaths than I am by percentage deaths. So
absolute deaths where they don't need to check they're dead. It's when their head comes off or something. That's an absolute death.
So, the fact there's been no hovercraft deaths in the past 5 years means I assume hovercrafts are completely 100% safe.
or no one's got a hovercraft because they're for wankers. Hovercraft's a great invention.
And also there was some instances where a lot of people died in the 70s.
Yeah, I mean, a hovercraft's
great.
It's like
they're now safe.
It's like you're going forward and you want to turn left. So you turn left and now you're going both forward and left. And eventually, if you keep going that way, you'll be going still just forward and left.
Works. I played Diddy Kong Racing, alright? Jesus.
Oh, yeah. Sorry, that bastion of physics must have passed me by.
Most of my hovercraft experience was from the one in San Andreas, honestly.
You got to play a car, a hovercraft, or a plane. It was a very strange game, Diddy Kong Racing.
I would have picked the plane. Seems quicker.
Yeah, and safer.
No, the
plane was objectively faster because not only could you use the mid-air speed-up zippers, if you squish the plane's nose to the ground, you got to just use the ground ones too. So you just got to use everybody's zippers. It was great.
That sounds useful. It sounds like a...
Oh no, this is cheap. I can buy a hovercraft on eBay for like $4,000.
Why?
Oh, God, John's going to die.
Well, I don't know. That's probably what a hovercraft costs.
Yeah, but why would you want a hovercraft?
Or a nicer one. Oh, hang on. There's a nicer one here for $7,000. It looks like it's got like a bed built into it, like a sex hovercraft.
A sex hovercraft?
Of course, that's where you go. I want to have sex in the cube. I want to have sex in the hovercraft. I'm John. I have sex.
I just think this is a sexy hovercraft. It's only $7,000.
You could like spaff, throw someone off the edge, you'd be like, goodbye! Just try into a fucking wall. It came and went. That's your plan, is it?
I just like the entire time. There's no communication going to be able to the whole time. John, don't buy
I just feel like this is just part of my extended plan. Just walk into a bar and be like, actually, no, these aren't tattoos. I survived a lightning strike. By the way, do you want to come take a ride on my hovercraft?
Nothing has ever been as Florida as that sentence. I think that's
hey, babe, do you want to come take a ride on my hovercraft?
Vroom, vroom!
That does legitimately
No vroom, vroom. It's big fan. It's one big fan.
Two big fans.
Oh, you wouldn't want to get sucked off on that. You don't know what that would mean, would you? You don't know if you're going to be thrown into a big fan or not.
Oh my god! Oh my god! I'm looking up secondhand planes pricing wise, right?
Yeah.
And
I said I bought Boeing, and no one batted a fucking eyelid.
No,
I've got the price of a Boeing 747 here,
without
$7 and a bit million.
Without engines.
No, with engines, with wings. It's landed 29,400 times.
Right, that's not a bad price late in its life.
10,000 or 100,000.
There
miles.
is there's something here listed as a Piper PA-22-108 Colt, right?
Yeah.
It's £1,700.
Oh shit! That's
it
very
is.
cheap.
It's an aircraft.
Good.
Yeah.
That's what we're looking for.
It's very literally a basket. For a hot air balloon, it's just a basket. It's just a basket on its own. It's just a picture of a basket.
Now, John, what are your thoughts on hot air balloons?
Oh yeah, there's one here with a McDonald's logo on it for $3,200.
Here's the thing. I feel better about them because they're going so slowly. Surely they can't go too wrong.
You can't control them. You cannot control them. What the fuck?
They're fucking deadly.
Yeah, but what are they going to do? They're either going to go up or go down.
Well,
they normally go through fucking buildings and shit. Yeah,
they might go a bit side to side.
If
the gravity's going to keep that basket where I want it to be.
Is it Bristol that does the big balloon launch? I think it is. Yeah, have you ever been to that where you see all the hot air balloons take off from Bristol and then they will just fuck around and bump into each other and like 85 people die a year? It's great.
You can only control if they go up, John. That's literally all you can control.
No, you can control if they come down too.
Well, you can infer that you want it to go down, but it doesn't necessarily control it.
Yeah.
Well, surely if you just introduce sufficient cold air into it,
you can't introduce cold air. You can just stop giving it hot air. That your only control is giving it hot air. That's the only.
Yeah, but that's a self-correcting problem because if you get close to space, it's going to get cold.
Yeah. But...
Well done. Well done, John.
Yeah,
you've solved it. Fuck it.
If you're going sideways,
you go, if you're up there and next to you, fucking hovering is William Shatner, you probably come down.
Yeah, precisely.
Yeah.
Self-correcting problem. There is presumably if you turn off the gas, there is a literal ceiling to how high a balloon can ever get because it will cool itself down as it gets close to space.
Yeah, so you turn the gas off and now you're plummeting towards the ground.
Yeah.
I'm not plummeting. If I start plummeting, I'll turn the gas back on.
I don't... God, you don't understand. Oh my God, it's like fucking...
I just feel like balloons are way safer than planes.
This is the stupidest... You've said a lot of stupid shit over the years, John, and that is fucking stupid. That is genuinely the stupidest thing you've ever fucking said.
You know what's always a really nice sign of a lovely alternate universe? Where there's fucking blimps everywhere in the sky.
There's big explosive things.
Civilized way to
massive, explosive, slow, lumbering things.
I do like that everyone's...
with helium, not hydrogen, you twats.
Yeah, but then you'd sound like
it
a
doesn't go
bang in the thing, wouldn't you? You'd sound awful. Also,
I just think I'd be way happier on a big helium blimp. Just let's do everything with balloons.
You realise helium's a lot less like you need a lot more helium. The amount of helium to lift one of those things takes up way more space than hydrogen. That's why they used hydrogen.
And I'm also aware that helium is kind of quite a finite resource we're kind of running out of.
Yeah.
Just want to point something out that they did a few years back have that big look, this is going to be the future of travel balloon, a big blimpy thing, and it crashed on its first go. Didn't it?
Okay, maybe my balloon plan needs... But okay, here's the thing. Here's what I feel like. If I see a balloon out the window and it looks like it's kind of drifting in my direction, I feel more confident that my house can take an impact from a fucking balloon than from an aeroplane that's got engines and propellers.
I enjoy that John is there just fucking sitting there going... Well, you've got on one hand, you've got this wonderful safe contraption with loads of safety features and all this other shit. And the other one, you've got a picnic basket that's just fucking going wherever the fuck it wants. Like it's a fucking Enid Blyton novel.
Yeah, I'd be much happier with my house being struck by a wicker basket with a balloon tied to it.
He's got a valid point. He's got a valid point in that, you know...
No,
if you
know what happens?
Hit by one,
you know what happened, though? If we've got everyone's on by the fucking hot air balloons, all the planes are going to crash him and then crash into their houses. That's what's going to happen.
How high do hot air balloons go? Surely they're below where planes go.
8 feet is the highest a hot air balloon can go.
Sounds about right.
Yeah.
See below where planes go, John.
Assuming we've banned all Cessnas, they're not getting up to where fucking 747s are they?
This is the interesting point when John discovers...
Exactly. We've got the ground where I live, then the middle bit of the sky where hot air balloons are, then the top bit of the sky where the planes are. Job done. Everyone stays in their lane.
Do you know what a weather balloon does, John?
And down below the ocean where the submarines go.
Do you know what a weather balloon does, John?
I actually have no clue. I've heard the term before, but I've no idea what they actually do. I assume they're just they monitor the weather?
Yeah, fuck it. I mean, they do sit between 60 and 105,000 feet.
Oh, that sounds quite high.
Yeah, so higher than a plane.
Okay, we need to get rid of them because they don't fit into my new everyone stays in their lane system.
I'm looking at the second-hand listings for aircraft in the UK.
Now, satellites are okay. They can stay in space. Satellites and spaceships go in space. Aeroplanes go at the top of the sky. Balloons in the middle. Humans on the ground. Hovercrafts on the top of the ocean. Not on land. That's where humans are. They have to stay on the water. And submarines under the sea. So and if everyone stays there, no one collides with anybody else.
John, a 747's cruise height is 35,000 feet. A hot air balloon can get up to 68,986 feet.
We're going to need smaller balloons so can't get as high.
Well, like a weather balloon, which goes even higher.
So, it goes ground, then planes, then hot air balloons. They have to be at the top, next to satulites.
Yeah, but there's a problem with being in a hot air balloon up that high. Probably a bit nippy. Probably the air might be...
Just wear a jumper and a scarf, it's fine.
The air might be just a little thinner up there.
Yeah.
Well, they can pressurise a capsule.
You know what, also, if we gave it some sort of, thrust and wings to balance it.
Give it some control, yeah.
Yeah.
As long as there's still a balloon attached, I'm fine with it.
So
slow it down.
If you were going to get on a 747 and you were a bit antsy about it, and I tied a red balloon to one little bit of it, you'd be like,
no, that's not big. Okay, actually, I've come up with a solution. If we had said that all Cessnas have to have a massive parachute built into their arse, so that if they drop below a certain altitude, it just goes so the plane can gently drift down, then we're fine.
John,
yes.
Do you know what wings do?
Not that.
Yes, that. Yes.
No.
Yes.
They don't. You can't just turn off a plane and just gently drift down.
Yes, you can with wings.
Oh, really?
Just forward a bit as well.
I didn't know that was how
also, planes, literally a few years back, there was a big thing about giving parachutes to planes.
Yeah. Oh, good. Yes.
And it turned out it was a fucking stupid idea because it would misfire more often than it would save things and kill people.
It was a regular problem in a lot of the aircraft that had parachutes for landing.
Also, John,
it's only killing the people on the plane. It's keeping the people on the ground safe.
Everyone on the ground's already safe, John. They're already safe.
How slow would a Boeing have to land on your house for your house to take it, do you think?
Okay, but I mean, I don't have a problem with the Boeings. They seem to be fine because they've got flight plans and experienced pilots who are wearing a suit.
Yeah, but John, in your fucking universe, they're going to be sucking hot air balloon after hot air balloon to their engines.
Look, the pilots are wearing a suit. I trust them. They're wearing a tie.
God, we're about to start talking about helicopters, and John's going to lose his fucking
Oh my God,
shit.
John!
Oh shit! I forgot about helicopters.
Do you know how auto rotation works, John?
Oh,
I've forgotten about helicopters. Holy shit!
John,
we have to ban that.
John, if a helicopter stops its engine, what do you think happens to it?
It probably drops out the sky.
No, it doesn't. It very slowly glides down.
It doesn't.
Well,
it drops out the sky.
No, it doesn't drop out the sky.
It has a bit of a glide, but it really is just dropping out the fucking
It doesn't
sky.
drop out the sky. It can land safely.
No.
Don't
agree.
No, sorry. When the thing spins, because the air still goes through it and spins them, and it causes an effect of it like it's on a parachute.
And you say I'm boring for like in the coal mining museum.
Aircraft are marvels of engineering. I think they're amazing. They're just the most amazing modern marvel of engineering.
You're right, coal mining is a marvel. They're really interesting. I'm glad we've come to an agreement.
So I was in Poland like 10 years ago in Warsaw, and they have this big building in the middle, and they had a museum in it, and it was literally, I didn't know what it was, and I went in, there was a very angry Polish woman at the front desk. She couldn't speak any English. I went through, and you know what it was? It was a Polish mining museum. And then they were playing this music in the background that basically sounded like a... You know, like the fucking Matt and Trey doing the little wah thing, Daniel. Yeah, literally, it sounded like that. And it was this very sad Polish mining museum where they're talking about mining and going, and then the Soviets came. Like, oh. And that's my entire, like, all of my thinking about coal mining museums is basically coal mining museums are going, we coal mined, and lots of people died in the coal mines, and then someone came and closed all the coal mines. We were really sad, and that's the end of it. It's just about, all coal mine museums are, it's just sadness. That's all they are. Sadness. Thatcher came, and then we fucking buried it.
They made, the coal mining museum near us made coal mining fun for children.
I have found the number.
Okay, I realise I phrased that in a way that makes it sound like a recruitment tool of propaganda for trying to get children to do coal mining. That wasn't what it was about. Wasn't that?
Yes, Daniel.
I found a number. I found some stats. I found some stats about things. So this is like this contains the death index, which is how many times more likely you are to die from something, with airlines set at 1. So if you're comparing it to airlines, a non-scheduled charter flight is 59.5 times more likely to end in death than a regular airline flight. Okay. And helicopters are more deadly than that.
Yes.
And general aviation, like private planes, is 271 times more likely than airlines. John's right, we should ban all planes that aren't big and flying high.
John's right, they're more risky, but if you take the most, even the most deadly form of air travel is still safer than almost everything else.
Oh, cars, I 453.6.
I would just fundamentally ban helicopters. Helicopters I'm just banning as a starting point, because I don't know how they work.
Helicopters are safer than planes.
They seem to be like desperately spinning like blades really fucking fast to stay airborne. It kind of feels like, you know, a person flapping trying to flap their arms as fast as they can to desperately try and fly. It just strikes me as a bad idea.
Oh, God, like because planes never have spinny things on them, do they? No plane in this day and age has any spinny shit in that engine of theirs.
Yeah, but they've also got wings, and that reassures me.
Helicopters have rotors.
They should have a big balloon.
John,
or wings.
John, helicopter.
Would it hurt the helicopter to have some big extra wings on the side, just so I feel better about it?
There are helicopters like that exist. B, yes, it would hurt because
shit.
you have loads of weight.
I've never seen one of them. I want to see a helicopter with wings.
Vertical flight is trickier when you've got massive fucking wings providing resistance.
There's helicopters with short, stubby wings that are currently in development by Boeing and like Lockheed Martin for like military use.
Oh shit, they're really cool.
Yeah, they are. They're basically night wings.
Yeah, they're awesome.
But
I just feel like, okay, this is halfway to my view of what, okay, the ultimate airline in terms of trying to, you know, keep things safe. There should be redundancy in place to deal with potential faults.
So what if you had, redundant right now.
No, hear me out here. Hear me out. Like an aeroplane.
Here, John, he's making the airline industry safer.
Okay. Shut up. It's fine. So it's an aeroplane, and it's got wings, and it's got the normal engines right there under the wings, as they should be, right? What we also have, just in case something goes wrong there, is a propeller on the nose, an old school backup propeller, just in case. And on top of the plane, we've got helicopter-style rotors. All right, and they can also provide some extra thrust, so you can take off and land more safely with vertical landing takeoff. Okay, and then on top of the rotors, there's going to be a balloon. So if everything else goes wrong, you can pump some gas into the balloon, and then you can just drift down safely. So there's redundancy, built on redundancy, built on redundancy. That plane is uncrashable. First of all, okay, no matter what happens, you can get that thing down safely.
First of all,
and you can save so much space on airports. Imagine all the airport space.
Those things all existed, they all crashed.
Safer spaces. We can convert that into affordable housing to deal with the housing crisis.
Listen to me. All of those features, aside from the balloon, were actually things they tried, and they were all terrible and caused the planes to crash, and that's why we don't use them.
John, would you be happier if planes were like on rails in the sky? Like big rails 60,000 feet in the sky, which is then you get in a plane and swoosh around those?
Yeah, I've seen that. It's in BioShock Infinite. It worked pretty well.
Yeah, we'll just do that then. Yeah. It worked really well for Black Widow, that flying city, so what could possibly go wrong?
I mean, to be honest, I'd be up for, like, a massive, like, world-spanning monorail network where you can just get, like, you know, really fast trains going along a rail all across the oceans. That'd be great.
Yeah, monorails are really known for their reliability and safety.
I don't know if you're being sarcastic.
Of course I'm being fucking sarcastic.
Have you not seen that documentary, The Simpsons?
John, here's a question. If you're on a train, normal train, right, and the train breaks down...
This sounds like a maths question. And it's going 200 miles an hour, and it's got to go to Oslo in 2 minutes.
Right, and you all need to get off the train. How do you get off the train?
Through the door.
Well, one of my new aircrafts comes and picks you up, so you can just hover, because it's got a balloon and rotors.
John, you get out, and you're on the ground. In a monorail, you open the doors, and you know what's there? A fucking big-ass drop.
Well, yeah, that's why there's, like, little inflatable slides that come down, like at the end of that episode of The Simpsons.
Inflatable slides are way more fun than just getting out of something.
Exactly. It's not only safe,
it's
fun.
1 point for monorail.
Yeah, people don't tend to break people don't break their ankles when going down those inflatable slides ever. That's not a really common injury.
Well, they're fools. Who would break their ankle on a slide?
Lots of people.
Toddlers,
lots of fun.
Those emergency slides, people fucking break their ankles and arms on them all the time.
Yeah, but if they're using that, maybe the plane that they're on's just crashed, and that's how they broke their ankle. Then they blame on the slide.
I mean, they're welcome to stay on the sinking monorail if they want to. No one's going to force them to risk their precious ankle. You know what? You just enjoy hanging out on your broken down monorail.
Wait. If it's sinking, just get off when it gets to ground level. Don't need the slide, John.
Oh yeah, that's even better. Yeah, fine.
Get off.
Yeah, but then maybe if one person's just hanging out the front, hogging the door, saying, you know, I'm just going to wait till it gets to the water, then I'll get off. Well, then everyone else, by the time it's their turn to get off, it's going to be 50 feet underwater.
Here's a question to anyone listening. If Scott Manley's listening, right, in Kerbal, go and make that plane John described. 2 inches under the wings, rotor on the front, helicopter right on the top, big wings and a fucking balloon, and see if it flies.
An inflatable balloon that's just like flapping around most of the time, one would assume.
Yeah. Well, no, it could be like what it should be. It should be packed away, but if you push a button, it like explosively opens, and then you pump gas into it really fast. Like really fast, so it doesn't get caught in the rotors, which may not be on at the time.
What happens to all the forward momentum of the plane?
Well, you only activate it if the plane's already in trouble. And,
I have a question, John. Why isn't the helium that's clearly already in the plane just causing the plane to float?
Shit, I don't know. I've no clue. But then again, I've never been 100% sure how boats that are clearly very heavy and made of metal float.
Oh my god, Jesus
Christ. Because they're hollow, John. They're hollow.
Yeah, but like they're also really heavy.
Yeah, but they're taller at the side. It's called displacement. Air is very...
Okay, you're getting into physics beyond me there. Let's move on.
Displacement. Have you never got into a bath?
John, have you never been to school?
No, but a bath's like a boat in reverse. That's different.
Yeah, but when you get in, you're displaced. At
that point, that's water trapped inside a boat rather than water trapped outside a boat. That's completely the opposite of what I want. Like, a bath's the worst. Like, if a boat should be shown a picture of a bath and be told, not that. Alright, you should put that in, like, the captain's cabin. So every night before he, goes to bed and when he wakes up, first thing he sees is, no! If you've created a big dippy cup thing with water in it, you fucked the boat.
John, if you had to... If you put, like, a washing up, like, bucket thing into water, it floats, right?
Yes, because it's light and made of plastic.
No.
And there's lots of air.
No, you can put one of those made of concrete into a thing, and it would still float.
What if it was made of metal, like a metal
concrete
ball?
sinks.
No.
I know that because I've seen it in films where mafia people put other people's feet in concrete, then toss them.
Concrete.
Like, it'd be pretty fucking embarrassing
John,
if that film ended with them putting Jimmy the Snitcher's feet in concrete. They just toss him off the bridge, he just floats down the river.
John, the thing that makes boats float is not the material they are made of.
But I feel like it should be a consideration.
You know what's really interesting about the podcast?
Like wood floats. Wood floats.
Yeah?
Yeah. There you go, material.
Then why don't piers just fuck off into the ocean, John?
Because we tied them to the land.
Right, you know what I like about the podcast is John clearly knows nothing about physics. Yeah. And I almost got a degree in it. And it turns out that wherever you are on the scale of physics, if you go to one of the extremes, like knowing nothing or knowing everything, quite clearly that just means you get the same job of playing video games online, because you are useless. Yeah. You need to know a medium amount of physics. Any more, you fucks up. Any less, and you end up here. You just have to... If you know too much physics, you're fucked. And you end up like us.
Reasonable, yeah.
It's also a good range of education, isn't it? Because we're the 3 tiers of education, and it just clearly doesn't matter.
There's a tier above us we haven't got to, because there's people who get like fucking postgraduate and doctorates.
Sorry. I only did a year. I did a year of uni.
Can we address, is Ashens not a doctor? I'm pretty sure he's a doctor.
Oh shit, yeah, no, he's a doctor.
Again, so it doesn't really make a difference, clearly. Like, your associations consist of me, who has no education, John, who's university educated, yourself, who is university educated, and a doctor, a literal doctor.
Yeah, but the doctor
like
does
the good
have
sort of doctor or the shit fake sort of doctor?
The doctor does have a film at Leicester Square's Odeon. Tickets available now.
I don't think that's got anything to do with his PhD. Got a feeling.
I mean, good for you, Dr. Polybius.
Yeah, that's what the film's about. It's about his doctorate. It's true.
Oh, is it? Yeah. John would know if you'd watched it.
John, watch my fucking film.
You never sent it to me.
Matt, send him a copy of the film.
I've only got one copy of the film.
Somebody send John a copy of the film at the following address.
John a copy of the film.
I'll find a way to view it.
It's on digital systems and platforms. I want to put out. The one copy I have, Ashton sent me, and it's very specifically the case is broken, and he's written in it that he's given me the broken one to annoy me.
Wow. You know what? I'll just find a version online. It's fine.
Classic Doctor of Psychology move there.
Not very much is, isn't it? Fucking hell.
Yeah.
Basically, the point is, doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. You'll all, no matter what you do, you'll end up nowhere. So give up.
And on that sad bombshell.
Please send your plane items.
I'm going to go buy a hovercraft now.
Oh my god. I'm going to go buy a Boeing, crash it into John's house, really fuck it. Actually, you know what?
Well, that's fine. I'll be out of my hovercraft at the time.
I'd crash it into the house next to John's to really shit him up.
That'd work.
That was way longer than it needed to be. That's the PodCats. You could all go now. You're free.
Good night, everyone.
Really delayed.
Such a long pause.